Greetings and salutations, guys, and welcome back to the ALEuminati. Here once again with quite a fun episode this week, I think.
I'm still smiling.
But little back onto this, but last week when we'd finished recording, you went the day after. You went, shit, we haven't picked an episode. We haven't picked a topic this week.
You just went, let me pull one out of my ass.
And I went, Saddam Hussein has a StarGate.
And I was like, what? It's got a what?
I knew nothing about this. I knew the theory had gone round. I'd heard of it, but not looked into it. And I just thought that was going to be fun and crazy to do. Going round the houses on this one, we've found a fair few rabbit holes.
Yeah, I've dug holes all over the garden. There's loads of rabbit holes all over the place. This just, it touches, like, depending on where you come from. For me, what I've seen is it touches so many different areas from Nirubu, StarGates, Iraq War, ancient Samaria, cuneiform tablet,
Book of Enoch. But you got the Nephilim.
It's gone like whole
Government conspiracies, clandestine operations, black ops,
and then obviously exopolitics. I'm like thinking, hold on a second, how do you manage to sandwich all that into something that sounds absolutely insane?
Into 4 words. Saddam Hussein had a StarGate. Sorry, 5 words. Saddam Hussein had a StarGate. No, there's a lot more in this.
I was like, I wondered where the reach was coming from because I mean, some of them are batshit crazy. Some things that we just refuse to not cover because they're just like fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
That it'll be a 15-minute episode going, this is shit innit? There's really is shit. I thought this might be one that goes, you know what? We might get half an hour out of this. Has Saddam Hussein got a StarGate? Fuck off, has Saddam Hussein got... And then you read it and it's like, whoa. They've got genuine doctors and all sorts of stuff writing about it and other people and you could bring intertwine so much history.
Well, I'll be honest, like, I've only had 3 days to research this because we only decided on Tuesday what we were doing. So it was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to research. I'm like, I'll do that one. Be 45 minute, hour long show. Yeah, like, I've got half hour, a quick half hour research. About 40 minutes before you turned up, I was still cutting notes and adding new notes in and going, I could do another week on this.
It's a bit
It's mental.
There's a big part about that I was going to talk about at some point in it, the big religious aspect, but I just think that would be a bit contrite and it'd take things a bit in a really peculiar angle. I think I'll touch on it, but I personally, I don't know if you've even included it in yours, but I don't mind talking a little bit about that, but there's like a big thing by William Henry, or Henry Williams.
I've cut a lot of that out because I didn't really want to go into that because that becomes dogmatic rhetoric and bogged down. It's not really what we're talking about. But yeah, so we're just going to be on the way, but a lot of what's coming.
There's a taster. If you don't like what you've heard, fuck off now.
Yeah. If you do, strap in. This is going to be a fun one.
Strap
in, whatever floats your boat.
Enjoy.
So, the theory is that the 2003 US-led invasion of Iraq, which was illegal, remember? There was no UN mandate, there was no
That's right, yeah.
NATO mandate, so it's technically an illegal war.
Yes.
It's a preemptive, rather than being classed as a war, it get classed as a preemptive strike, and therefore it couldn't be done for war.
And let's be honest, what did Iraq have to do with flying 2 planes into Twin Towers?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
You know, Saudi Arabian terrorists, let's go for Iraq. But the theory is that was all a pretext and a lie, because, you know, as it turned out, the weapons of mass destruction dossier was, what was the word, sexed up in the British media. Sexed up the dossier.
The proper tarting of that dossier, yeah.
Just imagine Tony Blair in a cabinet room with that dossier going, sexing it up.
Exactly. Insert 59.
Anyway, we're going on it. The US-led 2003 invasion of Iraq was launched because former dictator Saddam Hussein had a portal to an alien world.
Now,
that's what we're here to investigate tonight.
Yes, so it was just a happy coincidence that they happened to get hold of the oil fields. The happy coincidence that they stole all the gold. They weren't there for any of that, and they certainly weren't there to find weapons of mass destruction. They were there because supposedly Saddam Hussein had access to a StarGate for which, which I didn't understand what the StarGate was for until we read everything else. So we could probably go down it, but Cliff Notes has a StarGate that is linked to ancient Sumerians, Nibiru, Planet X, teleportation,
Annunaki.
wormholes, Annunaki, and I'm like, And then the Americans have gone, Saddam Hussein cannot have power. He cannot have access to all that power, and he cannot, absolutely not have anything to do with bringing the Sumerians back. And it also kind of links into the end of the 2012 Mayan calendar with the...
Is this a solid theory? It's got everything in it.
Well, if you throw enough shit at something, something's going to stick. So, but the problem with this one is you can go down so many routes because there's so many. Firstly, ancient Sumerians and the Annunaki, it'll probably be a show on its own for us.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. So
Nirubu might be a show on its own.
And we are going to talk about Twin Towers and the Iraq War at some point.
Yeah.
So, but what we're asking to do is to try and bring all that in. Just give it a flavour, a high level discussion.
Yeah, just a little taste. So you get an idea of where we're going to be on all these big issues, which wasn't like, because I didn't know this thing. I knew Saddam Hussein had a StarGate, that's why I went to war. Oh, like dickhead, go away.
Well,
and then it's like, we'll do that. I did it I chose it just to go, be fun to see if we research this.
When you said it, and I was like, what are you on about? The first thing that came to my mind was, if you had a StarGate, why did they find him killed up in a ball in a basement? If you had a StarGate, surely he should be on
You'd be on Nirubu now.
But, so that was my starting point was, this is a lot of bollocks. Saddam Hussein was found and hung, he was hiding, if he'd have had a StarGate, surely he would have nipped off already to Nirubu or wherever the other StarGates are. But it's actually a really interesting topic, whether or not I believe it or not. It's a really interesting thing to talk about.
I think it's a happy accident, I think, that it's turned out so well. But with anything, everything I research, no matter what point I come in from, I try to research from different angles and try to find a central narrative. I always try to research it back to its source, and the source for me on this is Dr. Michael E. Sallah. So he claims that aliens that he identifies as being from the mysterious 10th planet of the solar system, Nibiru, had a long-running relationship with the people from the Iraq-Iran region. In a paper entitled Exopolotical Perspective on the Preemptive War Against Iraq, he says there is evidence for long-term alien involvement in the area, dating back to the earliest days of the Sumerian civilization that once dominated the fertile lands along the banks of the Euphrates.
We do also need to name drop William Henry as well, because...
I'm going to get to William Henry in a bit, but I think you mentioned I've got a little bit of in my notes, and there's Zachariah Sitchin.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to them in a minute, because they provide the foundations for his theory.
Yeah, I was going to say because...
But the Saddam Hussein on the StarGate is Dr. Salah's theory.
Yeah, so Salah definitely referenced some of William Henry's...
Yeah, William Henry and Sitchin, but it's his theories. He uses them as a pretext, as a foundation. But, again, as I was like, oh, this guy said this, and as you pointed out to me, just because there's doctor in front of his name doesn't mean he's trustworthy.
No, I mean, what was the... Who was that presenter?
Dr. Phil. Yeah, he's not a doctor. He doesn't have a medical. Anyone who goes in his shop has to sign a waiver saying we understand he's not a doctor.
I'm sure there was like similar to like pop stars. He was called Doctor something. He used to like Radio 1.
Oh, Dr. Fox.
Dr. Fox.
Yeah.
Just because you got dig-R in front of your name doesn't mean that you have any additional plaudits over anybody else in regards to a field. We do this all the time.
Right. So, to preempt you going, just because he's got doctor in front of his name, don't mean he can be trusted, right? This guy has some serious fucking clout to him.
Okay.
Right? And I mean, so he's describes himself as an expert in exopolotics, and by that he means politics between planets.
Yeah, so it's aliens and
Earth politics, right? Then you think like, well, when you wear that, you go, this guy's a bit fucking batshit crazy, and he probably got his doctorhood from a fucking... You put it on a website, you know what I mean? Like, $15, there you go, you're a doctor now, you got a certificate, right? Made his fucking diploma on pain or something, you know. But, Dr. Michael Sallah is an internationally recognised scholar in international politics, conflict resolution, and US foreign policy. He has held academic appointments in the School of International Service and the Centre for Global Peace, American University, Washington DC, the Department of Political Science, Australian National University, Canberra, Australia, the Elliott School of International Affairs, George Washington University, Washington. He has a PhD in government from the University of Queensland, Australia. During his academic career, he was the author-editor of 4 books focusing on international politics. Dr. Sallah has conducted research and fieldwork in ethnic conflicts involving East Timor, Kosovo, Macedonia and Sri Lanka. He's been awarded significant financial grants from the United States Institute of Peace and the Ford Foundation for peacemaking initiatives involving mid to high level participants from the East Timor conflict.
So it's
It's the real fucking deal.
I was going to say it's a dipshit then, but yeah, no, of course. I've got here as well that he's written over 70 papers and lots of essays, and he's been co-authoring all sorts of loads of books and stuff. So
Yeah,
yes, he's pretty prolific in what he does.
Yeah, he's since gone on to be a pioneer in the development of exopolitics, the study of the main actors, institutions, political processes associated with extraterrestrial life. He's published books on exopolitics. He has a series of 5 books called Secret Space Program that investigates whistleblowers and insider testimonies on multiple classified space programs. That all 5 of them have become Amazon #1 bestsellers. This guy's the real fucking deal.
So let's be careful. Saying he is the real deal in regards to he's very knowledgeable in his
field. Yeah. This isn't a guy going, oh yeah, I'm a doctor. No, you're a fucking chiropractor, dickhead. Shut up. But this is not even that. He's going, oh, this is a doctor who's wrote. Yeah, he's not a fucking GP who's wrote about this.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's not only qualified in international politics, but seems to be widely sought after. Awarded significant financial grants from the United States Institute of Peace for peacemaking initiatives involving mid to high level participants in the East Timor conflict. So this isn't a guy who's just sat at home watching the news and writing about it. This is a guy who's fucking brokering peace talks between fucking countries' leaders.
No, he himself, academically, is the real deal.
Yeah.
I've got no qualms with his academia.
But also his academia is based in international politics.
Agreed.
So, exopolitics might be, we don't know, the guy might have had a mental breakdown or a nervous breakdown and just gone nuts. Right?
I think you're trying to paint a picture.
It might be moving. Going from international politics to exopolitics isn't too big a step, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
you painted the right picture. The guy's the real deal. Again, the leap that we need to be very careful of, tread very carefully, is he's taken his academia, his knowledge and amazing knowledge, and going, and now I'm going to apply this to, I know all about politics, and now I'm going to bring aliens into the conversation. So it's just that part is
this might have been a thought experiment. This might have been you know all about it. Dude, you know all about international politics. Now they all work. You want to talk about anyone? How would America react to aliens landing? How would China? And then he could probably play it out, and that's like just a thought experiment, maybe.
Well, I watched a 2-hour video of him at MUFON in Melbourne. So he's taking it seriously because he's going to MUFON conversations and things and having massively open discussions about the exopolitics. So he's very well. He speaks very well.
Just to take it seriously, again, not saying he's the real deal in terms of academic career, but this could have been. He got so far in his career, he could have had a mental breakdown. Come out going, oh, aliens are real, aliens everywhere. This is what's happening about that, and then because he believes in it, he's delivering those speeches with clarity and distinction at MUFON because he genuinely believes. He might have fucking snapped mentally.
Or he could have done loads of DMT with Joe Rogan. He could have.
Yeah, there's many reasons why he should have gone from international politics to exopolitics. So what I'm saying is there's a jump there and there's many reasons for it.
I just wanted to say, the cynic in me is, it's about to overflow, is many people bring up salacious discussion and really big topical discussion to go, this is how I make a pop culture name for myself and I can make money from a pop culture reference. Now, I do not know for certain if he made any money off the authorship of doing anything to do with exopolitics, about aliens and so on. I don't know that for certain. I've got no idea. But
he's got about 7 #1 Amazon bestsellers.
But what I would say is, for the only reason we know about him is because we're looking at a conspiracy that he's involved in.
That he created.
Yeah. Who would know who he is? How many books would he sell? How many tours would he do if he had not said, let's bring ET into the equation?
Well, to be fair, the first thing when you type in, anyway, Google, Saddam Hussein, StarGate, right? And everything is Daily Express, Daily Star.
Oh, yay! Right? Red Top.
Right? All fucking Red Top. And all of them are Saddam Hussein had a StarGate, according to Dr. Michael E. Sallah. Dr. Michael E. And it's like, That's the first thing I saw, like 12, 15, out of the first 12, 15 hits on Google were Saddam Hussein has a StarGate, says Dr. Michael E. Sallah. I didn't know about his books or anything like that. It was on it. You know, I found out after research this and going through different websites, and then you find out that, oh yeah, he's got 7 Amazon books out. And
so I just wanted to temper the discussion that, you know, we've got to take what he's saying with maybe the spirit in which he was trying to say it in, and maybe the reason why someone will say something so exciting is because actually, if I'm not making a lot of money, I can do what I do really, really well, and I'd sign aliens to it, and now everyone's going to start talking about it because it's going to hit the news big time.
Yeah, and it did. I mean, but again, it's like, I don't want to say why he's saying it. You know, I don't want to go, well, this is his academic record. Yeah. You must believe him. Well, like, it might be done. It might have the academic record. You know, I spent years doing this, and I made fuck all. In 12 months, I'm going to be a millionaire. If I say it's aliens. Or it might have had a mental breakdown and just gone, it's fucking aliens, it's always been aliens.
I'd just say, I'm nearly 40 in a few weeks. I've become a real cynical bastard in the last decade, mainly. And so when I read about Michael Sallah, I'll just put my thought there. When I read about him, the first thing I thought after I read about his academia was, where did aliens come into the equation, and why did he start talking about aliens? Because I don't know what his interaction or his background I couldn't find anything to do with his background, anything to do with aliens outside of making a paper about them.
Do you know what I personally think it is? I personally think he's been reading Graham Hancock, Eric von Daniken.
Oh, Chariot of the Gods
and stuff like that. And
that's a brilliant book.
It's a brilliant book, but then that's led him to go on to Henry and Sitchin. And he's just kind of gone, actually, I can see why, I know how American Black Ops work, or clandestine operations work. I could see this being true today, and then he's kind of pieced stuff together himself, and whether he believes it or not, he's wrote a fucking good story.
Sounds like it,
but he didn't. I've actually got. I'm going to put in because the majority of my notes come from that paper, Exopolitical Perspective on the Preemptive War Against Iraq, and I have the link to the full paper.
Is this third paper? This isn't it?
It's second one.
Second one, is it?
So I'll put that. That'll be in the description. The link will be in the description, so you can read that as well. But that doesn't read as someone trying to sell a book. That reads as a. It doesn't even read as a scientific paper. It reads as a memo. I mean, it's referenced and cited like a scientific paper. It's set out like one, but it reads more of a memo, like a warning briefing. Kind of like this would go across the front of the British Prime Minister's desk, or it's gone across he's Australian, so maybe the Australian Prime Minister's desk. And it's gone like, oh shit, like this is what you need to know about the war, and this is what you need about because it was written before we went to war.
Was it?
Or I think it might be just before or just after, I think.
I'm sure he referenced
No, it was after the war. It was after the war he wrote.
Saddam hadn't died at this point.
No, he hadn't died at this point, so the war was still going on.
Yeah. But I just wanted to, before people start jumping to conclusions, I just wanted to say my thought about him is that it's known in specific sections. He might have been really well known. The populace didn't know who he was. Many people didn't. Throws aliens in there, it's really, really tantalising discussion. And the mainstream media goes, "Whoa, this guy says this," and then people recognise him.
But would you not be committing career suicide? Like it was
nothing.
Given financial, significant financial grants to.
That's not his.
Sort out the East Timor conflict. So I'm just really got paid fucking well for high level conflict talks of East Timor.
So what happens then is, I know this is complete conjecture, but what happens if you got a grant? The last grant you got was 10 years ago. Right, you had one. You've not had one for 10 years, as an example, and then you're going, well, I've written as much as I can within my academia. I'm the top tip of the spear. I'm not really getting a lot of work in. What's the thing that can generate work? Would be to say something, just trick aliens in there, and everyone goes, well, I want to. Let's go first. Let's go back and look at the history of his books.
This could be. Right, there's no doubt. This is a very intelligent man.
100%.
Right.
And I'm not denying his intellect and his documents and so on. They are absolutely true.
But I'm just wondering if, again, try to put another scenario of his purpose for doing this and why he do it, because it is pretty much career suicide doing this. But
it opened new doors, though.
Is he watching an episode of Ancient Aliens? Like, just got pissed one night and watched like 4 or 5 episodes. We've all done it. When you get wankered and you watch 5 episodes back to back of
And you're like,
Aliens,
this shit's real.
and you're like, they've got a fucking point. Then you sober up in the morning and you go, another fucking door.
I'm sorry you said about. Is it possible? And then he goes, ancient aliens think yes. That's every. That 10 times a video.
They never make a claim, they just ask a question.
Yeah.
Right, but it's a case of he's watched it and gone, this is fucking wank. You want to do ancient aliens right? This is how you fucking do it right, okay? This is how you do it, and like, bang, crazy claim, Saddam Hussein as a StarGate. What the fuck? On every paper now. Now he's got the world's attention. Everyone's looking at him, he's going, actually, when you line up this, which perhaps all go through, it's like, that's a pretty solid theory.
Well, let's also say he released this after the Iraq War and before Saddam Hussein got killed.
Yeah.
So he's released it
right in the middle of it.
where Saddam's all over the news. He's all over. We're about to bomb. We're bombing Iraq. We need to get Saddam Hussein. It's not been found yet. His papers come out, and he's going. By the way, whilst he said to Saddam, he's also got a StarGate. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah.
So you got to. It's a very well timed delivery.
It is, and we can't say for sure what his motives were about him personally.
I'm saying that. I'm guessing that's where the papers were. I don't know, but it sounds like it was around that time.
It does sound about that time. Because actually, in some parts of the paper it says former President Hussein.
He was still ousted though. After
He was still ousted, but I think it was before he got hung. Yeah. But anyway,
so I thought it was just. I just wanted to lay my marker down very early about my thoughts on Michael Sallah before we start talking about what he said.
yeah, and I just wanted to point out, I don't know his motivations for doing it, but I just wanted to point out that out of all the theories we've had where it's crazy people making shit up or saying stuff or making it for money or whatever,
Yeah.
this guy probably has the most solid background of anyone we've started a theory on yet.
Yeah, agreed.
So I just want to give him a little bit of credibility where it's due.
I don't deny.
You know, talking national politics, this guy's probably fucking sounds like he's one of the best in the world at it at the time. So yeah, just want to give his credit. Would you probably go on like this guy's fucking crazy? He's got some legitimacy.
I'm not suggesting he's a crazy. I'm suggesting he may have different reasons for saying the things he's saying.
Yeah, no, I'm saying people at home going, "Oh, this guy's a crazy."
Yeah.
Actually, let's just lay out who this guy is.
Yeah. Good point.
So, in his paper, he cites claims by the historian Zachariah Sitchin that the Nephilim, a group of some 200 aliens who rebelled against their superiors, the ALEuminati, and interacted with, perhaps even created, early civilization on Earth.
We need to take a step back at what Sumerians did first, don't we? So, okay, the ancient Sumerians, the ancient Sumerians wrote about the Annunaki.
Right. Well, my next bit here, I'm not going to do that right. So these claims centre around the idea that Nibiru has a highly eccentric orbit that sometimes brings it close to Earth, in an orbit somewhere between Mars and Jupiter, but most often leaves it lost in the blackness of the outer solar system. The Nirubu hypothesis is partially supported by the work of astronomers Chad Chudrulo and Scott Shepherd, who in 2014 demonstrated the possibility of a larger planetary body lurking on the outer reach of the solar system.
Right, we're going off on two different tangents. I need to get a pen.
Right, no, well, it gets to this bit.
Okay.
Right. So that hypothesis doesn't, though, allow for the super Earth-sized planet running into the asteroid belt.
You'd see it now, gravitationally you'd see it.
Right, so
I think.
his basis starts with the Nephilim and the ALEuminati, and that these astronomers have proved there's a possibility there could be a 10th planet out there. If there is a 10th planet out there, it's not as big as Nirubu's supposed to be, allegedly is,
Okay.
right? So their theory, their hypothesis doesn't allow for the super Earth-sized planet. Sallah is sure that these two groups of aliens, who he collectively calls the Annunaki, so the Nephilim and the ALEuminati are collectively the Annunaki, periodically visit humanity in a 3,600-year cycle that coincides with its nearest approaches to Earth. It was on one of these missions, in 1991 he says, that an Annunaki saucer was accidentally shot down by a US Air Force F-16 during the First Gulf War. Right? You want to carry on?
You've left me with about 500 thoughts in my brain, and I'm not going to interrupt, but I've got questions.
Its missions, he theorises, was to activate a StarGate hidden in Iraq, possibly beneath the dark Zikkurat of Enzu, which once was the lair of the notorious Sumerian sorcerer Gimli-Ishbi. If this StarGate could have been switched on, Sallah wrote, it would give to Saddam a conduit to Nibiru and to the advanced extraterrestrial weaponry wielded by the Annunaki, and it was the threat of this StarGate, according to Sallah, that led to the US and UK drafting the dodgy dossier as a cover for an interplanetary war. So that's pretty much the theory.
End of video. Okay.
That's it. There's a lot to unpack in there. Should we go back a bit?
Yeah, because I'm having one thought being rewritten over with another one. That's why I wanted to get a pen.
Right,
Because my
so,
thoughts leak out of my brain.
So he claims the historian Zachariah Sitchin. He cites the claims by historian Zachariah Sitchin that the Nephilim, a group of some 200 aliens, who rebelled against their superiors, the ALEuminati, and interacted with, perhaps even created, the early civilization on Earth. So, the Nephilim, a group of 200 aliens that lived on Earth, rebelled against their superiors, the ALEuminati, which I'm going to get into later, about those two different styles later on. But the Nephilim rebelled against their superiors, interacted with humans, and possibly created early civilization.
Well, it's a bit of a conflict there because I'm pretty certain that the Sumerians stated that the Annunaki came to Earth firstly, and then 450,000 years ago, specifically to mine gold.
Yeah.
And special metals. But the people the aliens who were mining it were like, for fuck's sake, I'm tired. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Then the Annunaki went, alright then. And then they looked at the rather humans that were on Earth at the time, Neanderthalic I suppose, and went, we are
the Neanderthals or Homo erectus at that point. Yeah.
So yeah, but then when we are now the missing link, we're going to create humans as a slave race. So that's
how we got Homo sapiens.
Yeah, so they created the slave race. So what are we suggesting here that once the Anunnaki created the slave race, they became humans, but after that, the Nephilim, which is in the Bible, the aliens went, the stuff we've created, well, quite fancy a bit of that, and then they came and mated with the humans.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what he means by interacted with. Because there's a bit I've got there. I think I've got it later on. I don't think I took it out. Where it says that this coincides with the Bible because in the Bible you've got giants and stuff, and these are the...
That's Enoch, there was the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch, where you've got these giants and stuff, and the giants are the offspring of Nephilim and humans. And that's why we've got all these long lives of Noah lived for 900 odd years and stuff.
Don't you think that sounds really odd? We're going to create something, and then going to fuck it. It's just...
Well, that's it. Again, that I'm going to get to later on, but the Nephilim and the ALEuminati, the way it's described as well is the Nephilim, this group of 200 aliens that are on Earth, and they've been assigned their tasks. And their tasks is, like you said, to send the resources through StarGate.
Okay, back to Nirubu.
So the Annunaki elite were the only ones allowed to use the StarGate.
Okay.
Right. Let me see if I can get to this bit.
Oh yeah, because there was two. There was the StarGate, and the Sumerians talked about rockets specifically with the Anunnaki, and that the main Anunnaki who came to Earth actually used rocket-propelled ships to exit the atmosphere. But the hierarchy, so the kings, the leaders, the queens, and so on, used the StarGate to get from Nirubu onto the planet and travel interplanetary. But only they'd be allowed to use that special tool.
Yeah. So basically, the Book of Enoch describes a rebel group of angels, the Nephilim, who numbered 200, who settled the earth and interbred with the human population before being recalled and punished by their superiors, the ALEuminati. Right. The Book of Enoch provides contextual detail for mysterious verses in the Book of Genesis, which describes a time when the sons of gods, the Nephilim, and Annunaki, interbred with humanity and created a race of giants/heroes that ruled over the rest of humanity. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. Supporters of Sitchin's thesis said this part of the biblical evidence that an advanced ET race did in fact exist on Earth and had a long interaction with humanity and even played a role in the creation of the human race. Right? Sitchin focuses on rocket-propelled spacecraft in his description of the Annunaki and their various trips to and from Earth. For example, describing the transportation used by the Anunnaki in moving between their Earth and space-based locations, Sitchin wrote, the text reveal that 300 of them, the Anunnaki of heaven, or Igig, which is sometimes classed as the ALEuminati,
right.
And just like the ALEuminati and the Anunnaki elite that were allowed to go through the StarGate, the Nephilim were the overseers, if you like.
They're the breeders, aren't they?
No, but the one meant to be so you've got the messed around with Homo erectus, turn him into Homo sapien and create this slave race. The Nephilim are the overseers of the slave race.
Okay.
So Homo sapien goes out, mines the gold, brings it back to the Nephilim.
That's what Sitchin said, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Nephilim take it to the Elohim.
Yeah.
And they go through the Stargate with
Okay.
it and take the gold back home.
Makes perfect
right?
sense. Yeah.
The Igig
The god.
are up in space. There's 300 of them in space, and they never touch the Earth.
They're just flying ships.
There's 300 Nephilim, Annunaki,
Yeah.
but known as the Igig. They were true astronauts who stayed aboard the spacecraft without actually landing on Earth. Orbiting Earth, these spacecraft launched and received a shuttlecraft to and from Earth. So you've kind of got a hierarchy of the Anunnaki now. So you've got the elite and the Elohim who go through the Stargate. They come through the Stargate, pick up the gold, go back.
Yeah.
You've got the Nephilim whose job is just to run this slave race. And they've got to go, also instead of running the slave race, they've got to go up in shuttles up to the spaceships to meet with the Igig to get their instructions to come back down.
Yeah.
The Nephilim kind of went, we've got the short fucking deal out of all three here. Fuck you, and I'm going to go fuck her.
And she's going to like it. I might be 3 times bigger, but she's mine.
So it therefore conclude that there were 2 forms of transportation used by Anunnaki. One was a form of rocket technology familiar to us, which was used by the resident Anunnaki on Earth, or the Nephilim, whose Sitchin described as the rank and file Anunnaki, who administered the Earth and humanity according to the dictates of their space-based compatriots. Another transport technology was the Stargate, which presumably was used only by the highest class of Anunnaki, who dispensed the task of harvesting the Earth's resources.
Now, can I ask, is this specifically stated in the cuneiform, or is this someone's interpretation going, I'm just going to add this layers to the story?
This is what Sitchin says the cuneiform tablets say.
Okay.
He says this is a direct translation of the tablets. This is not like I've translated this and filled in the blanks. He's saying this is what the tablets say.
Fine.
Now, mainstream archaeologists go, no, it fucking doesn't. But again, he says they can't read it right. They say you can't read it right. I can't read it at all, so I don't know who to believe.
But I can look at the pictures at the back and go, that looks pretty interesting.
You know, I could walk into the pyramid in Giza and go, I don't know what any of this means, but that's a fucking helicopter. Future episode.
You'd never be chuckling with my beer then. That's a fucking helicopter, is that? I saw it with a nuclear bomb in there, and there's also the
Baghdad back there.
Yeah.
Not the Baghdad back, but the light bulb one in there, yeah.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, let's just stop there for a minute and break that down. So, this is where I start going, there might be something to this. And not just going, oh yeah, aliens on Earth, they came to get gold, and they fucked our women. Right? You're explaining an entire hierarchy that actually makes sense.
I didn't believe that Sitchin ever once mentioned a Stargate.
Sitchin mentions, so he says in his paper, in Sallah's paper, he says another transport technology was the Stargate, which presumably was used. He doesn't say Sitchin says it.
So
Sitchin says there were the Nephilim on Earth, there were the Igig in space who never came down to Earth. They were true astronauts, and the hierarchy of the Anunnaki, in the way of the supreme god Marduk, dispensed tasks to his subordinate Anu, chief of the Anunnaki. Assigned to Anu to heed his instructions, 300 in the heavens he stationed as a guard, the ways of the earth to define from the heaven, and on earth 600 he made reside, and after he all to their instructions had ordered, to the Anunnaki of heaven and of earth he allotted their assignments.
So I'm asking where the link comes from. So you've got
Sallah's putting Stargate in there.
That's what I mean. So Sitchin has. So let's just say the cuneiform is correct. Let's just say for now, what the Sumerians' interpretation of what they saw.
So the Sumerians would be the slave race at this point. Yeah.
So they've wrote all these cuneiform tablets down. They're in the British Museum. I think 12,000 of them or something.
Yeah.
They've wrote down what they interpret to be happening at the time, whether that's exactly what they saw or some form of interpretation of what they think they're seeing because they can't explain it. Sitchin comes out and goes, well, I know what they're trying to say, and they specifically said this is hierarchical evidence, hierarchy of aliens who got rocket propelled ships, who have got hierarchy in space, and they've made us for this specific purpose. If you put all that together and go, let's just say that's true, and all that's true, There's a bit of a leap here going, oh, Saddam had a Stargate, because there's nowhere in any of those interpretations it even mentions once a Stargate.
My notes completely out of market, but there is one bit where it mentions a Stargate.
Right, okay.
So the Annunaki operated outposts both on Earth and in space to maintain their control over the planet. Given the strict hierarchy of authority described by Sitchin in his detailed analysis of the Annunaki and their interactions with one another and humanity, it is likely that the Stargate would have been revered and a subject of awe by the resident Annunaki and humanity, who could only observe its operation but were not allowed to use it themselves. As such, there would have been only a limited number of Stargates around the planet, with the Sumerian Stargate being located in the most important of the ancient Sumerian cities, the most likely being the ancient capital of Uruk, home of the ancient kings, which is located in southern Iraq. Right? I'm just trying to find. I'm going to jump forward to a bit that
I thought it was William Henry who brought forward the idea of Stargate, because he looked at pictures specifically and saw the moon god above. Looked like they'd been carried by two poles and this circular, what he thought was a Stargate.
I've got something about circular. I'm trying to find. While you talk, I'm trying to find about circular engraving.
I'm pretty sure that William Henry was the first one. He said, my thesis is actually what's not in these cuneiform tablets is what we can see in pictures and depictions. And one of the depictions looks like a Stargate. And he's gone, if you take Sitchin's findings from the cuneiform tablets and what I can see, and put it all together, they've also got this Stargate, but it was never actually mentioned as part of any written word or interpretation.
No, I think I might be getting confused. I've got Sitchin's, Salah's notes talk about I don't have Sitchin's notes.
Okay.
I've got Sallah talking about Sitchin.
Okay.
And I've got the bit somewhere where he talks about there's an engraving with
I'm sure I've got something.
There's two circles with balls on it or something.
Yeah. I'm sure I've got something with William Henry in my notes here somewhere. I've got so many notes and so much stuff in my brain that I'm bloody forgetting where I am.
Well, I thought I put it out in the timeline, but we've jumped down to like the back end of my notes, and I've still got a lot of the top to go through yet. But yeah, you talk about William Henry for a bit then, because I don't have much about him.
Well, he definitely talks about Planet X, but he also goes quite religious, in that return to this planet centres on the recovery of technology once housed at Solomon's Temple. That is used as a gateway linking Earth to far off regions of space, where the idea of this Stargate comes from. And he says, the stakes are high. The planet is at the centre of a biblical prophecy known as the Day of the Lord. The man in the catbird seat of this milieu is Saddam Hussein, the mass-murdering Iraqi dictator with a Cheshire Cat smile. Sitchin, one of the few experts on Planet X...
The Cheshire Cat smile, that's a brilliant insult.
I don't ever recollect seeing Saddam Hussein on Ease though, which is why I look at the Cheshire Cat with fucking LSD colours going on. But Sitchin, one of the few experts on Planet X, indicates that according to prophecy, the last time Planet X was visible was the 6th century BC. The Day of the Lord, i.e. the return of Planet X, occurred 550 BC. When prophecy said that Planet X was visible, 550 BC is an extraordinary date. In 576 BC, the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar looted and levelled the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, took 3 temple wise men hostage, and stated that the priests opened a gateway to heaven. Now, the discussion of the gateway to heaven is it was called a fiery furnace, but he then interprets that they opened this gateway as being actually they didn't understand what they were seeing, and it's actually like you see in the movie Stargate,
like the event Horizon, and
walking through, and that's why they could come back. They didn't, they went into hell and came back unburned, and they came back through. So he's saying, if you take into consideration some of the biblical text, and you look at what you can see on the walls of the statues and stuff of what the Annunaki were like, and you take into consideration what all the Bible stuff is saying around the time, put it all together, and we're talking about a Stargate.
Well, this is kind of like Eastern religions, like Hindus and stuff like that. Hinduism saying, I can't remember what name they call is it not the Dijin, but when they say like they drove across the sky in chariots.
Oh yeah.
They're not talking chariots as in what they're hooked to the horses. They're talking craft, but they didn't have a word for aeroplane or
That's right,
spacecraft.
yeah.
So it's something you go in and it transports you. Oh, like a chariot. Yeah, it's a chariot. There's only context there to put it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You can only explain what you see. The interesting thing though is he says, because we were talking about the Nebuchadnezzar, and he's linked Saddam Hussein to the Nebuchadnezzar, which links Saddam Hussein to a Stargate, because he said Saddam Hussein has connected himself with the Nebuchadnezzar because he spent over $500 million in the 1980s on the reconstruction and re-establishment of the ancient Babylon, the capital of the Nebuchadnezzar. And over 60 million bricks have been made to place in the walls of the Babylon, each engraved with the inscription, to King Nebuchadnezzar in the reign of Saddam Hussein. So Saddam Hussein links himself to Nebuchadnezzar, saying, I'm doing this for you. And William Henry says the Nebuchadnezzar is linked to a Stargate. So he creates this leap of where the Stargate comes from.
Yeah, so it's that kind of thing where, and it's pretty much a well-known fact that all throughout Saddam's reign, he had like a burning desire, almost like fucking obsession, to become, he wanted to be remembered. Now, I don't know, you could speculate that he went to find the Stargate and go through and meet them, and he believed in all this and went to go meet the aliens, and he went to bring them back, and he'd have some seat of power over the world, and they're right inside maybe.
Theory, yeah.
But generally accepted, like among his time as ruler of Iraq, that he was obsessed with restoring Mesopotamia to its glory. That's what he saw his role as leader being, like, not like, we know of him from outside, from UK, as being this terrible dictator and this tyrant
who gassed the Kurds and so on. Yeah.
But when you look at writings from inside Iraq, they speak to him. They speak about him. It's like he's trying to restore Mesopotamia, trying to restore our glory, and restoring Babylon, and it's quite a. You don't know what the propaganda is because we're only getting the UK version of events, but there's solid evidence here that he's restoring Babylon. Is he restoring that for the good of his people, or is he restoring that for his own ego?
So
I don't know, but
I personally think that not even he'd be silly enough to think that we take everything that we've said so far as true. That planet Nibiru is either a planet or it's actually a huge spaceship that you can't really understand. That causes gravitational issues between Pluto and Neptune. So it comes on this elliptical orbit, which is meant to be a planet, but we would have seen by now probably. Yeah. So it could potentially be this big spacecraft. As others said, they say it's a planet because it's so big, but like the Death Star, it could be a craft.
Was it called a planet because that's the only reference and language they have?
So there's massive fiery ball in the sky, so that's a planet. You know, that's their reference.
Yeah, it's another sun. It's a planet. Yeah. It's a fucking giant spaceship.
Is that a moon? That's not a moon. Yeah, exactly.
That's not a moon. That's the Annunaki.
Yeah. So we take that as, let's just say that just with my argument here, that the planet Nibiru is real, and a Stargate. He's found this Stargate, and what he's trying to do now is he's trying to put the Stargate back together, put together the city of as being this iron. You are I don't know how you pronounce it, but and he's trying to put that back to its former glory, to allow the kings and aliens of old to come back to Earth to reclaim what's theirs, because that's what prophesied.
Yeah.
I do not think for 1 second Saddam Hussein's thinking, when they come to the door, they're going to bow to my feet. He's going to be thinking, I've got a plate of this, I've got a seat at their table if I make things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one that brought them back. They're 1,000 years overdue. I'm the one that dug this up. I'm the one that made this possible. I'm the one that brought them back. I'm going to be sat. I might be 3 seats to the left of the king, but I'm at the king's table. Yeah, I'm going to be rewarded for this. I'm not one of those slave cups like you lot. I'm going to be rewarded for this. And I think that I can see sense with. And there's this, like I say, you can argue, was he a dictator who wanted propaganda and which side we get it from? And I'm not arguing the atrocities that he caused in Iraq, because I honestly don't know too much about them.
But he definitely didn't eat babies like I said he did.
No. But he's laid how many fucking bricks in building Babylon?
2 or 3. 2. I think it's 50 million.
You expect 500 million?
500 million, 60 million bricks.
60 million bricks. There's a lot of fucking physical evidence there that if that had been Jeff Bezos doing it, or Bill Gates, that would be the biggest act of philanthropy that humankind's ever seen.
There's no doubt that Saddam Hussein had a belief that he could reunite the Middle East into Islam.
Yeah.
Whether it was Shia or Sunni. I think he was Shia, wasn't he? But
I'm not entirely sure.
I think he was, but he had the idea that he could bring back the Middle East under Islam, and he could bring back the glory days of the birth of Islam.
We wanted to bring back Mesopotamia, didn't he, essentially?
Exactly, and the Gardens of Eden and all sorts of
Yeah,
things. He
yeah.
wanted to bring it all back to life, because he again, let's not forget, Iraq used to be 3,800 BC.
Extremely fertile. It was extremely fertile, centre of civilization.
Absolutely, it was massive.
Like when you think of Iraq, you think like deserts and barren. It used to be fucking lush, green and fertile.
And it was definitely the centre. It moved a little bit, did Baghdad. I'm sure it used to be near a coast, and it got brought in coast, but it used to be the centre of everything that happened in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really important place to pilgrimage, a really important place for trade. So if anything was ever going to happen in the Middle East, it was going to be there. So if these Sumerians did what they say they were going to do, they were going to go where it's the most important place, and they're going to go exactly where they said they're going to go. And let's not forget that even scholars are struggling to see where the Sumerians came from. They just appeared overnight and had the ability to talk about, which I find really intriguing, because I don't have an explanation, but the ability to talk about star systems that they had no way of recognising and being able to see. Orbits and stuff that they had no earthly way of knowing without a telescope, because they didn't have telescopes. And they were given very specific, or they wrote about very specific astrological things that they could see, that they couldn't see.
Yeah, I mean, I've just found it, according to Sitchin's translations, the Sumerians had detailed knowledge of all the planets in the solar system, understood the precession of the equinoxes, and also had an understanding of complex medical procedures. They revealed in their tablets that all their knowledge came from a race of extraterrestrial visitors known as the Annunaki, those who from heaven to earth came, who were not only teachers for the Sumerians, but also played a role in the creation of the human race. The origin of the CT race was a planet called Nirubu that had long... we've already gone over that. So, Sitchin saying it says in the title that the Sumerians have wrote down, we knew all this because they taught us it. And, there's no way at that time of knowing. I mean, when was Pluto discovered?
1640, I don't know.
But they knew about it.
Yeah. They couldn't see that far. It's not something you can observe from Earth.
I don't think you can ever see. You can occasionally see Venus and Mars from the naked eye.
With your naked eye, you can see Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. In the right, I think you can see Neptune on the right, in the right time of year, but you certainly can't see further.
But it's a star.
Yeah.
With your naked eye, it's a star. They didn't have telescopes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Not powerful, but we have now. We think, that telescope you get for £100 is not that powerful because we've got these big fucking observatories. But that telescope for £100 is fucking miles ahead of what Sumerians would have had.
A £30 telescope, you can see the moons of Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sumerians didn't have that. So to know about not only about the planets but the ellipses that they travel on is mental.
And I agree.
Archaeologists can't explain how they knew this. They can't explain how they knew it and where they came from. Just like there's Homo erectus and they're Sumerians. They can write. They've got irrigation. They've got knowledge of the planets.
Just because.
Fuck, man. 2 days ago, you were fucking eating bugs off a log.
And now all of a sudden, you're reading the tarot and telling me...
You're reading the tarot and you've got a fucking giant ziggurat out. What the fuck's going on here? What the fuck were in those mushrooms you found in buds?
I don't know, I think I've slept. I think there's before we go any further, I think there's got to be a discussion at some point. Maybe even we do a show about it, where we have forgotten our history. There's a point of where you either think aliens did everything, or the humankind had a way of doing things back then that we've forgotten how to do. Something's happened.
You're going into Graham Hancock, Göbekli Tepe, is it?
Well,
it was like we are not the first. This is not the first time humans have been a civilization on Earth. We had one before, and something happened, and we forgot about it, and we've built ourselves back up.
So I just wanted to say, just because we've got the Sumerian discussion going on and the Anunnaki discussion going on, it doesn't necessarily mean it's still aliens.
No.
Because civilizations do pop up, and just because we can't explain it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So that was the first
Bit
point.
of a digression.
That was the first point of my opener. Remember when I did that opening statement and went back to the first point?
No, but
she didn't have a pen.
I think the Sumerians though is probably the biggest part of the whole thing though, because this whole this whole Stargate theory all hinges on whether or not you believe the Sumerians were had overseeing gods of the Annunaki who could travel space.
Sallah says that in 1991 he says that an Annunaki saucer was accidentally shot down by a US Air Force F-16 during the first Gulf War. Right? I've not been able to find any evidence of this other than Salah's claim.
Okay.
Right? He says the Anunnaki saucer's mission, he theorises, was to activate a Stargate hidden in Iraq, possibly beneath the dark ziggurat of Enzu, which was once the notorious Sumerian saucer Gimel Ishibi.
What's that?
It says it was possibly beneath the dark ziggurat of Enzu.
Gimel Ishbi, alright.
Which Gimel Ishbi, I think it is. You know what's that?
It looks like Gimli. It looks like
I thought with Gimli, I keep reading it as Gimli, it's not, it's Gimel. But,
that man with an axe.
if this Stargate could have been switched on, Sallah wrote, it would give to Saddam a conduit to Nibiru and to the advanced extraterrestrial weaponry wielded by the Anunnaki, and was a threat to this Stargate, according to Sallah, that led to the US in UK drafting the dodgy dossier as a cover for the interplanetary war. So I know we've just been talking about the Sumerians and we're now back to modern history, shall we say, because it's about, 17 years ago, 18 years ago.
Okay.
So this is why, so basically, what I think, the way I interpret this here, and I think this is the way I interpret Sallah as saying it, is that in the first Gulf War in 1991, America had dominated, but I always thought with the 2003 invasion, it was just George W. were going to finish off what his daddy didn't. Because George Bush Sr. pretty much fucked over Iraq but never got to capture Saddam, did he? And Saddam stayed in power after the Gulf War.
But the interesting thing about the first Gulf War and the second Gulf War is, in the first Gulf War, America couldn't even get into Iraq.
No.
They couldn't get ground troops into Iraq.
No, they dominated the airspace,
but
they couldn't get in.
But they very much protected their airspace very, very well. And then 2003, sorry.
Just roll through.
Just without that any problems. It's really, the both of them are so different.
I always thought when it was happening, I thought it was just a case of, it's fucking in Daddy's shadow. Daddy, oh yeah, you went to Iraq, you can get to that. I got him. I got Iraq. I'm better than you.
I'm pretty sure that he said on one interview that they tried to kill my dad, I'm going to fucking get you back. Pretty much is what he said.
Pretty much that. Alright, fair enough. But what I think this says here is that the Gulf War was going on for whatever reason it was going on for. An F-16 accidentally shoots down an Anunnaki saucer. And the Americans are suddenly like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on? Takes them, 12 years to piece it together and figure out what's happening, reverse engineer that craft, which, now they go back 12 years later, oh look, they've got the F-117 stealth bomber. They've got the Nighthawk. They've got the Nighthawk. Where the fuck did you get that from? Remember that ship was shot down in 91? We've fucking reverse engineered it, we've got something now, right? So, I'm reading this as they accidentally shot down a ship and went, what the fuck have you got? What the fuck is going on here? Pull back, stop the fucking war, pull back, let's figure out what the fuck this is. Right, we need to stop this cunt now. We need to build something that we can get in there and stop him.
Okay.
And that's how it became,
But we can see the leaps that are happening here though, right?
Yeah, you can see the leaps, but they're not big leaps. That's the great thing about this theory, it's not a case of
well, right, this is big leaps, because...
It's tiny, no, I think this is a little leap,
Not at all. Okay.
It's a narrative that's yeah, that's a fair narrative. That's not...
Yeah, it's a fair narrative, but it's a fucking leap of a narrative. Firstly, I've never even heard of a single... Well, I investigate a lot of shit. I've never once heard of... Remember, I wrote a fucking paper about Saddam Hussein before people knew who he was. But,
yeah, you did. To be fair, you did do that.
But there was no evidence whatsoever of a plane shooting down a fucking spacecraft of any kind in the 90s. I've never heard a single report. I've never seen the fucking internet.
I've searched and searched for this. The only place I can find it is Sallah claiming that this happened. So to me, you've got to dismiss that, to be fair.
It creates this scenario of, well, we have to leap from Saddam's doing whatever he wants to do. They've shot down this spacecraft, which we don't know anything about. Most spacecraft have never been shot down. I've got some empirical evidence somewhere, even if it's an eyewitness testimony or something, even if you can dismiss it. We shoot down this mystery craft, America recover it, and then go, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to go back in Iraq because we found this craft. When I think it's a leap, that's a massive leap of faith without any evidence whatsoever to say we've found this craft. If you just said to me, this was Roswell in its place, we've shot down, so well, there's loads of discussions about it.
But what I'm saying for me, what I'm saying here is that, alright, I can't find evidence to shoot this craft down. But they go back 10 years later with this fucking advanced bomber that's invisible to radar, and they've got the SR-71 Blackbird and the F-117.
We talked about the TR-3B last week.
Yeah.
So, as a technology that, one of the quotes in there was, this technology that is so far advanced that you could think about it, we've already done it. It doesn't matter, and this is the same time as when the TR-3B was being made.
I suppose, yeah.
So TR-3B was made in that same period.
Alright, I'm just going on, I'm thinking about kind of
I'm trying to bring you back down.
Yeah, I'm trying to romanticise this a little bit, going, they got a craft, they took it back, remember? And then they went back 10 years later with these 2 new fucking planes, and they couldn't get in the first time. Then they just rolled over it the next time. So vastly different. What were different? These 2 fucking planes that reverse engineered out of that ship they got the first time.
But we talked about before this even happened in that 91, that TR-3B was flying around Belgium, and we both went...
In 91.
Well, fuck
fair point, yeah. So
okay, hold on a second. What's going on? My mind's getting blown. It's like we've gone. Fuck off, Craig. Yeah, this is the. I don't get this very often where I go. You go, fuck off, Craig. You might be right.
Yeah. You've got a point. No, you've got a point. You are.
This has happened twice in about 2 years. So.
Yeah. No. I give you credit when you have like some actual thought, some logic.
Which does not happen when I'm drinking beer.
So Sallah goes on to say that the Bush administration recognised that Hussein has some very, very valuable and relevant information concerning the ancient history of the planet. Either technology or text basically confirming this, and he was going to release this to the general public. I think that was a big part of the reason why the Bush administration went into Iraq, to stop Hussein from revealing this information and to also get control themselves.
So this is going to exopolotics now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is the idea of that the rest of the world for the last 60 or 50 years at this point have tried their best to suppress evidence of ET.
And we've seen the last 2 or 3 years, the US Navy, US Air Force and US Navy have admitted in the last two years, they've put out, is it 1 million documents in 2 years?
CIA released all their document database last week.
No, I didn't see that last week. Fuck, I need to look at that. But yeah, so we've gone like, government cover-up conspiracy 2.0. Nope. It's all there. You can go find it now.
So there's a famous Tic Tac video, brilliant.
The Tic Tac video is fucking mental.
And you've got genuine Air Force pilots going, I haven't got a fucking clue what this is. And it moves so fast that it blows my mind. So, again, that could be terrestrial craft, but again, 50 years in advance to what the normal aircrafts would see. Yeah. Because we're always looking at things through this lens, and that's what an aircraft's supposed to do.
This is the thing as well, that where, from conspiracy field side, we've had misinformation, we've had cover-ups, and we've been called crazy, and then everything we've been saying for the last 50 years is now come true. And like the government have been covering this up and preparing for when we're ready for disclosure. Like this seems to be like there's a growing trend online now that this is the prepping us for disclosure. But in the next 10-20 years, it's going to be disclosed that ET exists, and government's been talking to them.
Even the Catholic Church agree now.
Yeah, the Catholic Church saying a proof of expression of life doesn't negate God's teachings.
Even though it did until he said that.
Yeah. But so if you think back to 91, so we know in 91 we know for a fact governments were covering up and preventing disclosure from happening.
Yeah, we had the Blackbird and we had stealth fighters and all sorts of things, didn't we?
Yeah, and even like UFO sightings. Going, we don't even look at UFOs. In 91 they're going, we don't even have a department that looks at it, we don't get the time of fucking day. They're stupid, they don't exist. And then last week and last year they've gone, oh, here's all our documents for the last 30 years we've been investigating UFOs.
Look at them.
So when he says the Bush recognised had some very, very valuable information according to the history of the planet, and he was going to release it to the public, and the Bush administration went to Iraq to stop him from revealing this information so they could get control of it themselves. This fits the disclosure narrative.
It does.
This is America going, no, we spent the last 50 years preparing the American and the world for disclosure. So where you get, you get famous abduction stories where most abduction stories have greys in them. So since the 90s you get a lot of greys in sci-fi shows, so that we get used to see. The idea is subliminally we get used to seeing them, so when they come on screen they're not a big shock and it's an alien. I'm like, oh, fucking X-Files were right, oh, StarGate were right, they're not like Asgards.
Yeah.
It's not a big shock. So America are going, no, we spent the last 50 years prepping society for disclosure. You can't just come out and fucking do it, we're not there yet, we're not ready yet.
Or alternatively, saying what they didn't want is America to go, we are the big bad, we're the big Superman, and going, Iraq going, actually, it's me!
Yeah, hi, I'm talking to aliens! Fuck! This is Jeff from Nirubu!
I'm Jeff from Nirubu, and I brought the spacecraft with me. Yeah, so they couldn't, America, politically, could not allow it. So
well, it changes seat of power in the world, doesn't it? Suddenly.
Immediately.
America have got nukes, Russia have got more nukes, America have got nukes, Russia have got more nukes, Iraq goes, I've got an alien flotilla. Oh, fuck.
The Annunaki, they really like the fact that they put the cigarette back together.
You don't tell people the aliens exist, or we'll fucking nuke you. Yeah, Dave from Nirubu's just turned all your fucking nukes off.
Sorry, mate.
What are you gonna do, pal?
We've got TR3B.
Not anymore, you don't. Stars now.
So, but you can completely understand that. So I'm going to pretend for now this is real. And why would the Americans go, well, I can't have this shit.
We can't have Saddam saying this to the public.
Yes, they can't have ET disclosure under any circumstances. They can't have a power shift at all to the Middle East under any circumstance whatsoever, because of what would occur. And also, think of all the ongoing black projects and the ongoing military contracts and the civilization as we know it changing overnight in the West would be immense. Disclosing immediately like that would be, well, all these trillions we've been spending on fucking all these spacecraft means bugger all if they're just fucking here then.
Yeah.
You know, I want that, I don't want this, I want that.
We've got this amazing craft that we reverse engineered from a crashed alien spaceship. Yeah, so I reverse that crashed alien spaceship, but you got like, but 10% of it working and put those systems on. Yeah, we got 15% working. 100% dickhead. And that's the Model 1 you've got, this is the Model 20.
That's the 1947 Ford.
Yeah. This is the Bugatti Veyron.
That's a scout ship with a big mothership. So you can imagine why if this was true, why the Americans, not necessarily just the Americans, but, Britain and the America gone,
well,
we can't have this shit.
I'm going to go into that, like I said, not just the Americans, right? Because Sallah goes on to say that other powers had their own teams looking for the StarGate during the war.
What the Germans executed.
Right? So he said, Saddam Hussein controls the ground in southern Iraq, and he's permitting the German-led excavations in Uruk, while the US-led coalition controls the sky and is monitoring the situation. The Bush administration wants control of Iraq territory to take control of the excavations of Iraq to uncover its buried StarGate and closely monitor and control it. In contrast, Hussein wants to find and activate the StarGate for his greater glory and presumably the benefit of humanity.
And it's funny how, well, it's not funny at all, but when the Iraq war was about to go on, wasn't it only in Europe, Germany and France, who said, well, we don't agree with it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a wonderful quote I'm trying to get down to here.
Is that from Donald Rumsfeld, saying they're old Europe and they're not part of it? Yeah.
So it was Germany and France. So basically, America and England were wanting to go to war, right? And NATO was like, we're not giving you a mandate to go to war. Or the UN.
Yeah.
I think the UN won it. Right?
Yeah.
You need to have a mandate to go to war and we won't allow it, that's why we're here. And they went, fuck you, we're going anyway. which says must be something important, right? But Germany and France are the reason they didn't get the mandate, right? France backed Germany, and Germany had been given permission by Saddam Hussein to excavate the ziggurat in Uruk.
You had to be doing it for 12 was it 12 year gap or something?
So the thinking is, Germany trying to talk like, if we stop the UN, we've got a veto, we can stop the UN, so they don't get a mandate, they can't go to war. We get the StarGate and we're working with Saddam to control over it, and then we're the power over America. And America are going, not fucking falling for that dickhead, we're going to bomb it anywhere.
We know what happened in the Second World War.
We're coming for that we're coming for that StarGate. So Saddam Hussein was most likely aware of such a StarGate's existence, and this might be inferred by his architectural projects intent on reviving the grandeur of early Mesopotamian civilizations and cementing its place as a restorer of Iraq's past glory. So this is what you want about with...
He was definitely trying.
He was definitely trying with that.
Definitely was,
he built those 60 million bricks at Babylon. He restored the front of the ziggurat. With the steps and all that lot.
And let's not forget the Iraqi dinar was it had one of the wealthiest economies in the world at the time. So Iraq was really prosperous.
It was really prosperous. His permission for a German team of archaeologists to resume excavations in the Sumerian city of Uruk, after detailed underground mapping, suggests that this may be the location of the Sumerian StarGate. Control of the Sumerian StarGate would enable clandestine government organisations to continue their global campaign of non-disclosure of the ET presence, which is what we were just saying. So it goes on to say the first piece of so there's 3 pieces of circumstantial evidence.
Ooh, okay.
That he uses to support, that Sallah uses to support his theory.
Okay.
Right. The first piece of circumstantial evidence are the overwhelming whistleblower testimonies confirming the existence of clandestine government organisations responsible for suppressing public knowledge of the ET presence and which controls all official interaction with ET races.
Let's stop there then. So let me just digest that. Say it again. Sorry.
The first piece of circumstantial evidence are the overwhelming whistleblower testimonies confirming the existence of clandestine government organisations responsible for suppressing public knowledge of an ET presence and which controls all official interaction with ET races.
So that's not anything to do with the StarGate, that's just simply to say that pretty much the world is saying we can't disclose this to the rest of the world. The populace can't know about this.
I read quite a bit into that, so there's a couple of levels there. So he's going, these clandestine organisations, he says earlier on in his report that these clandestine organisations don't, and I think we've mentioned this before in other episodes where we fully believe that the president is not aware of everything.
It's a puppet.
Yeah, you're not going to tell the guy you're not going to tell, like Joe Biden's just been voted, he's about to have his inauguration in a few days. You're not going to tell him all about the aliens that exist.
No.
When he's out in 4 years.
Exactly.
You know what
no
I mean?
Continuity. Yeah.
No continuity, right? So this says let's break it down actually. The overwhelming whistleblower testimonies. So he's wrote 5 books full of whistleblower testimonies on clandestine operations.
Okay. I completely agree with that.
Right? And I think this is a guy who, we said at the beginning of the show about his academic record and the level of influence he has and the places he gets into. So like the high level meetings in East Timor and stuff like that. He's got to be the kind of guy a whistleblower will go to, I think.
Only after releasing this paper about ET though, surely.
I think before that, before that, where this is kind of case like, you know what, if I've got clandestine American groups are going to come on me. Yeah, I phrased that wrong, didn't I? They're going to come for me. And then
that's such a fucking juvenile.
I need to go into hiding, I need to be protected. Well, I don't know if the British government can protect me. I don't know if the German government can protect me. I don't know if they're in cahoots or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to this guy, because this guy brokers fucking deals at high level international politics. This is probably the guy who's probably going to help me the most.
I'm taking 2003. Who'd be around, well, even before that.
Desmond Tutu?
Well, there's got to have been. See, you really have to dig deep before this. It's really, I did not know this guy. It's not a well-known.
No, but if you're in a position where you're a whistleblower on American government clandestine operations, you're pretty high up, you probably move in the same circles as this guy, you're probably aware of this guy.
You just drop into every single media organisation you can find and hope one picks it up.
Yeah, but then you're going to get fucking taken out. You drop that Monday, that gets covered up and you're taken out Tuesday. I mean, I would watch a documentary the other day where they had... I watched a documentary there where the CIA admit to having their spies in every major news outlet so they could control what news went out.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
So you drop it in all those news outlets, none of them pick them up and you're dead. You drop it Monday, none of them pick it up, you're dead Tuesday. You get this guy, he knows international politics, he knows which country to put you in before you drop it and which deal to sort out and how to negotiate. And,
okay.
you know what I mean? It's I'm trying to think, there was a guy I fucking adore, the UN leader at UN, Desmond Tutu.
What a great name that is.
It is a great name, but there's a guy I fucking adored. He was the first politician I ever fucking adored. I can't remember the guy's name now. I fucking lost it.
That's what happens when you drink beer.
Yeah. But, so, first bit there, overwhelming blood. So he's wrote 5 books about whistleblowers because they've all come to him and approached him and told their stories, right? So he's quite informed on this, about clandestine government organisations. Responsible for suppressing public knowledge of an ET presence.
I agree with that.
Right, that's disclosure, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Right. This last bit for me, under which controls all official interaction with ET races. Right? So that says, we're talking here about the Annunaki and Nirubu and the StarGate, right? We can't let Saddam switch that on. We need to stop them, we need to take control of it, we can't let him switch it on. Because you can't speak to them. But it says ET races, that's not like you can't speak to them.
Plural.
Because we're speaking to these ones over here, we're speaking to the Greys, we're speaking to the Reptilians, we're speaking to the Nords.
Yeah.
We can't have an Anunnaki coming in, you're going to fuck up all these treaties we've got.
But then surely...
We're the ones that speak to the alien races, not you.
But surely, those other alien races, if they exist and you're having those conversations, they'd know about the Anunnaki. And it wouldn't... And the Anunnaki...
Do they hate the Anunnaki? They're at war with them, do they not like them, do they not trust them?
We're doing these other leaps of faith here.
Yeah, I'm trying to put different scenarios. You can't just go, oh, they'll know about them, might not know about them.
Well, Earth says they exist.
No, but this is assuming that he hasn't found the StarGate yet, he hasn't switched it on.
Doesn't matter, the Sumerian
said
they exist, so I'm sure through conversation we'll be like, well, we've seen paintings from prehistoric age of aliens on walls, and we've got all these stories from, you know, from all around the world with aliens as discussion points and pictures of aliens and so on. That when they have these talks, they're like, which one of you fuckers are these? You know?
Well, yeah, but like, do you mean since we're calling it a StarGate, let's look at StarGate SG-1, the TV show.
I never watched it.
No, it's fucking amazing. You should do.
I'm going to trick you while you talk about it.
It's great in terms of lore and how to build up and build a lore in a universe. It's great, but they have 4 races.
Okay.
The Asgard, the Nox, the Ancients, and the last one has slipped my fucking head right now. But the Asgard are sort of like little grey aliens that we know from abductions, but they take on holographic form as Viking gods.
Right, okay.
To protect her from the Goa'uld.
Right.
The Goa'uld enslaved humanity in Egypt. Egypt had an uprising. They fucked off through the StarGate, and Egypt buried the StarGate so they couldn't come back. But they took a load of humans with them and peppered the galaxy with them.
Okay.
And continued their slave race. And the ancients were like, oh no, they were the gate builders. Alright, where are they? We don't know. Well, how do the gates work? We don't know. The ancients built them. We have these writings of them, and we have these ancient depositories of knowledge, and we have these artifacts they've left about, but yeah, they just fucked off and left the galaxy one day, we don't know where they are. So it could be a case that you've got fucking greys and reptilians, and you're going, right, so Saddam's got this partner, he's looking for this gate, he's going to open up and contact the Anunnaki. Yeah, we've heard about them. Are they good? Are they peaceful? They work with us? I ain't got a clue. We thought they'd gone.
No,
we've not seen any.
Just behind Neptune, if you go.
Yeah, we've not seen any evidence of them. Like, but apparently, they're just behind. They should be just behind Neptune right now. We flew out there last week. Our sensors couldn't pick up all. We couldn't find anything.
So matter of fact, fuck off. We went a week ago. Not there.
No, we went there like we couldn't pick up. We'll fly out again. Like, no, it's not there. But you know,
remind me of Fifth Element here. Just go fucking go on holiday. It's like just go on holiday and just have a bit of a laugh.
No, but these ET races have got ships. Are they coming through? Are they using the Stargates? We've got Stargates in America and Libya and Russia, and these alien races coming through them. So they're using the they're using the Stargates. They don't know where they came from. They just found one on their planet and used it.
Maybe.
And come to ours. And then there's another one in Iraq, and he's going to use it to get. That's the one that connects to Nirubu. Well, where's Nirubu? We've heard of it. It's a thing of legend. Well, yeah, Nirubu. They're the people who made the Stargates. Are they good? Are they peaceful? Are they warlike? I might be pretty pissed for using their fucking toys.
all I'm saying is these on this first point, these conversations are quite. We are having to take big leaps of faith and string lots of shit together.
We are creating our own narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, the point I would make there was the most point make there, which controls all official interaction with ET races.
Well,
so one official, so that says there's a world agreement on this, like a policy. Like there's a department official spokesman, and ET races is plural, which says the Annunaki are the first ones to come in. Well, it might have been the first ones, but they're not the ones that are here now.
If this was a paper, and he made a statement, if this was scientific paper,
this is from his paper.
Okay. So if this was a scientific paper, he'd have to say what his source was for that.
Yeah, he just says he quotes his the overwhelming whistleblower testimonies.
But firstly,
as his sources.
I can get that whistleblower testimonies. I can say here's a source for some of the scenarios, but a very specific thing at the end about we're talking to aliens and pluralised. Give me a source. Give me something to go to. Give me something to look at.
He's got $5, but I didn't have the time or the money
to
get them to look at them.
You shouldn't have to. He should be able to. He should put in
there.
No,
he does cite in there his $5.
Does he?
Yeah.
But
he cites his $5.
Which
is kind of you citing yourself, but are you citing yourself or are you citing the testimonies of others as evidence?
I know I didn't want to go down this route again today, but I fucking keep doing it every week. But it's like someone who reads the Bible going, the Bible's evidence of God. But it's not. It's a testimony from somebody else of what God is, but it's not evidence.
Yeah.
So, and this is the same thing. You can't use your own books as evidence if the books themselves don't have.
I don't know, because his book. I'd make an example. I'd make an exception here because his books are his belief or his interpretation of it. His books are the accounts of whistleblower testimonies. He's got 5 books, which I think cover 8 different whistleblower testimonies.
But a whistleblower is still somebody going, I've had this experience without evidence.
Yeah, but it's 8 accounts. So, but to his credit, he does say the first piece of circumstantial evidence.
So he even admits
he calls it circumstantial. He doesn't say this is solid proof. He goes, this is the first bit of circumstantial evidence of these 8 whistleblower testimonies.
So he's saying, well, I've got these guys who said this sort of shit can happen, and if I take that on its own, it's not evidence. But if I tie it in with
all 8 together,
it smells a bit funny.
It smells a bit funny. Yeah. So that was the first bit of circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
He goes on to say the second piece of circumstantial evidence.
Very pronounced circumstantial.
Yeah, I'm saying that because he says it himself. Okay. He calls it himself, which I think gives a bit of legitimacy in my book. Okay. He's not going, this is solid proof you must believe. He's going, this is the information I've got. It's not proof, but when you start putting stuff together, so we've got these 8 whistleblower accounts that I wrote about in 5 books. The second piece is the powerful diplomatic support given by Germany and France to the Hussein regime in warding off a preemptive military strike. So powerful has been the support that the US Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld disparagingly referred to them as Old Europe in a response to a report in January 22nd, 2003. Quote, you're thinking of Europe as Germany and France. I don't. I think that's Old Europe. If you look at the entire NATO Europe today, the centre of gravity is shifting to the east, and there are a lot of new members. And if you just take the list of all those members of NATO and all those who've been invited in recently, what is it? 26, something like that? But you're right. Germany's been a problem and France has been a problem, end quote.
So I don't see that as circumstantial evidence at all. I see that as not evidence in the slightest. I see that as being two countries. Our country, when we decided to go to war, was torn, completely torn. Mm-hmm. The public was so against the idea of war that it basically was a death knell for Tony Blair.
Did it take about 3 attempts through Parliament?
It was fucking horrific. It was horrific. And then it cost Tony Blair his job. You know, war crimes and all this, and now he should be going to the Hague, by the way.
He should be in the Hague. And how the fuck do you go from an illegal invasion of Iraq to being... What did he get after he left Prime Minister?
A diplomat in the Middle East?
Peace envoy to the Middle East. How the fuck did... Oh yeah, we're gonna... And here's our new peace envoy to the Middle East. You know, the guy who bombed the fuck out of you.
Fucking hell. So, in my opinion, that is not circumstantial evidence. That is two countries whose people said, we fucking... Germans were probably going, oh, for fuck's sake, we've got a bit of a stigma, we're not doing it.
I think he's classing it circumstantial evidence to prove that something was happening here, that there was a StarGate going on there, because the diplomatic language at the time was very friendly and we respect our neighbours and we respect this, and then this is going, no, you're not even, you're old Europe. Like, you're not, look, all these Eastern European countries are coming in now. The power's shifting, they're like, we're not even looking at you, and it's so disrespectful to Germany.
Well, that's Rumsfeld's opinion, yeah.
But to use it as an official, as a diplomat giving those quotes, like as a diplomat you're never off duty. So to give those quotes, it's kind of, that's not going like, oh, that's just how he thinks about them. Well, it shouldn't be in that fucking job then.
I think he's trying to fit a narrative here, because he's seen Germans digging, and then
Rumsfeld called them old Europe, and you see that the balance of power shifting.
Germany and France, quite frankly, at the time were, you can't call them old Europe. Germany was holding up the EU economy, have been since it fucking started.
Yeah.
So they're not old Europe. In fact, Germany were the backbone of the EU at the time.
Well, that's one of the arguments, isn't it, that the Germans tried twice to take over Europe and failed. So the third time they did it through the banks.
Do it by economy, exactly.
Yeah. The Fourth Reich is the European economy.
So the Germans were the backbone of Europe at that point in the EU, especially around the EU currency.
Mm-hmm. Around the euro.
Yeah, they were, without Europe, the currency would never be off the ground without Germany. So I don't believe for 1 second Germany is this old Europe and something that should be dismissed. I think he's trying to fit the fact that Germany were in Iraq. They were given the opportunity to dig. And therefore it's like, well, if Germany said no to war, and because Germany wanted to protect Iraq, actually, it could be that. Maybe because Germans have been in there going, do you know what, these are friendly people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a second part to this.
Oh, sorry, I've jumped ahead.
No. I wanted to get your reaction there. Great place to get your reaction to see if your opinion changes now on the second part. Right? So rather than backtracking on what was a diplomatic bombshell, the Bush administration instead continued to go to the extraordinary lengths to isolate the German and French positions on Iraq. For example, the administration encouraged the leaders of Spain, Portugal, Italy, the United Kingdom, Hungary, Poland, Denmark and the Czech Republic to write a letter to the Wall Street Journal on January 30th that said the Iraq regime and its weapons of mass destruction represent a clear threat to world security. Rather than merely an intense diplomatic debate over different policy positions on Iraq, the striking language and positions taken in this debate suggest a more fundamental conflict over issues hidden from the public view. It is likely that there exists a factional struggle between the clandestine government operations set up to deal with the ET presence in the US with rival organisations created in Germany, France and also Russia.
Or alternatively, America were desperate to go to war. So this is my version of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
America were absolutely desperate to get into Iraq for oil, gold, getting rid of Saddam Hussein, setting up a fucking KFC, and getting hold of whatever, all the lithium mines and everything else they could get their hands on. With that in mind, they couldn't just go on their own. They knew they'd get beat like they did in the first Gulf War. They went on their own, they were fucked. Right?
They needed a UN mandate, which wasn't going to get across. Germany and France are blocking it, and I think Germany and France have beat us anyway.
Yeah,
So if we can get all the other countries they have,
and we could put
Portugal,
pressure.
Spain, Portugal, Italy, United Kingdom, Hungary, Poland, Denmark, and the Czech Republic. That's even if you go to war without a mandate. While we're still sat here now, like 20 years later,
Got half of Europe in there though.
This was an illegal war. You didn't have a mandate to go to war. We had all these countries behind us.
They wrote a letter. So
yeah, but look, the UN is there to stop war. Like it's still illegal. Just you had all these countries. They could have 10 out of fucking 12. Don't matter. It's still illegal. But that's their.
But that was America.
Their moral backing. Like everyone's behind it except those two.
That was America's ace card, and when I say ace card, it's arse covering exercise. Mm-hmm. They went, here's my ace, here's my arse covering exercise. Half of Europe says I'm fine to go to war. We're going to go to war, so if you fuck me, you're going to fuck Europe. And at the same time, Europe were told...
I mean, you completely fucked the UN. The UN had no power ever since.
Yeah. They tried to create their own UN army now to fucking circumvent this sort of shit, but...
yeah.
But...
And that ended in Brexit, so...
but all it took was... sexed up dossiers, which Bush and fucking Blair created while having some fucking wild sex and fisting each other. Mm-hmm. And created a sexed up dossier for which the guy who fucking didn't some guy killed around it who was investigating
a doctor suicided himself.
Yeah.
Which
3 bullets to the head.
Plastic bag over his head and 3 bullets to the back of the head, and he suicided himself. And his doctor, something or other.
Yeah, it's whatever.
That was dodgy.
Yeah. But so all it took was just to go. We've just made this up earlier, let's see if they buy it. Look at this shit. Fucking hell, got bomb. Oh crap, okay, let's go to war. They didn't even need to know the war was
going. I think this is why it calls it circumstantial, because it's just, I think because the diplomatic language was so out of sync for the time, that it's like, yeah, you take that on your son and it's nothing. Put that alongside these whistleblowers. Starting to get a bit of a stink here.
But his circumstantial evidence, all I'm trying to say is his circumstantial evidence to me is non-circumstantial because I've got my own opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's why it says it's circumstantial, because you take it as your opinion. His third bit of circumstantial evidence, part of the 4, is the resumption of excavations of the first capital of Sumer, Uruk, by a German archaeological team in 2002. Given the prominence of Uruk and its likelihood as the site of a Sumerian StarGate, then resumption of excavation raises questions over why they were resumed. At this time, and what is being sought, given that political tension in Iraq had not significantly diminished in 2002 from the first Gulf War, and with it being a likely source of future military conflict with the US, it can be suggested that there are powerful hidden motivations for what on the surface appears to be a purely scientific dig of an ancient Sumerian capital. So what he's saying here is that this looks like a purely scientific dig. But you're Germany sending your archaeologists to do this dig. Tensions haven't died down from the first war. Looking like there's going to be a war again, it's going to be in this region. You're friends with America. You go in there, you're going to piss off your American mates. Why would you go in there? There must have been something there for the dig that outweighed pissing off America.
Okay, so what about this scenario that when you ask a team of scientists and archaeologists who've got no political influence or give a shit about policy...
Yeah, but it's not on them, is it? They had to be given permission from the German government to go out there.
Yeah, but...
So it's the German government essentially. Those archaeologists ain't got a fucking any skin in game on international politics, or there's going to be war or not.
They said, we've raised some money. Iraq is saying we can go dig the most...
I don't think they raised the money, I think it was German government paid for.
Well, either way, we can just think, at the time, the Iraqi government saying we need some assistance to dig the oldest known civilization place on Earth. It's fucking tantalising. It's wonderful.
Which archaeologists wouldn't jump at that?
So, but we don't have the capabilities or the knowledge technically to do it. Who does? Germany, you've got some fantastic archaeologists. Do you want to come over and help us? I could see that personally as being completely independent, as being, we might go to war, and if we do go to war, you guys need to fuck off. But at that time though, Iraq wasn't even part of the conversation in 2001.
2002.
I don't even think, even then, I'm not, forgive me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't think Iraq came into the conversation for war till really late. We were talking Afghanistan, let's go get Osama, and then they went, well, Iraq might have weapons of mass destruction. I assume, and I'm guessing now, but I think they would have been there before the discussions of weapons of mass destruction started happening with Iraq.
I've got a feeling this would be something like they went in February 2002, and the build up to the Iraq War was like June 2003 or something. You know what I mean? I'm seeing like more than a year.
And it doesn't happen overnight. If you can imagine, they go, do you want to come and dig? It's like, it won't go, oh, next day we can go. This would have been raising a purchase order and getting people ready and raising finances.
As soon as Donald Rumsfeld said that, when Donald Rumsfeld said that?
It would have been a long time going.
So with January 22nd, 2003, Donald Rumsfeld called them all Europe.
So they were well before.
They've been there. Say they've been there a year. Let's be generous and say they were January 2002. They've been there a year. That starts coming out. That diplomatic language comes out in January. They've been there. Right, we're pulling you out. We're bringing you on. It's building up. War's building up. It's coming in next 2-3. Because war don't happen overnight. You know, 2-3 was right. We're pulling the guys out. We're getting them on while we can. Let's hope it doesn't get bombed. It's still there after, and you can go look at it afterwards.
So I think that link is very, very tenuous. They were already there.
But I'm looking forward to the fourth piece of circumstantial evidence. Then
I'm not suggesting I can't say it right here. I'm just
no. But this is our opinion. This is our opinion on the knowledge. Like we always said, we answer the question: does that believe on the opinion we've got, the research we've done, from the knowledge at hand. So this is me throwing stuff at you, and this is your genuine
right now
response
opinion.
to it. Yes. So. The fourth piece of circumstantial evidence.
Do I need to take another drink?
Yeah.
Do I need to go get my cricket bat?
I'm not going to move this so you don't smash my phone. If you didn't like those second, you kind of accepted the first, kind of went, alright, you call it circumstantial, I'll have that. You kind of just dismiss the second and the third, yeah?
Well, I think there's an alternative explanation that's more plausible.
Yeah. So, the fourth one. It's a long paragraph, so please let me get through it before you dive in and attack me, yeah?
Let me get the extra ready.
The fourth piece of circumstantial evidence was the destruction of the space shuttle Columbia during its final descent on February 1st, 2003, at an approximate height of 38 miles and travelling at Mach 18. One of the astronauts was the first Israeli in space, Colonel Ian Ramon from the Israeli Air Force. Colonel Ramon reportedly played a role in the Israeli attack on Iraq's nuclear facility in Iraq in June 1981, and there's been speculation that his mission involved intelligence gathering over Iraq during the shuttle's orbits. The destruction of Columbia occurred 16 minutes before touchdown, when its fuel tanks would have been virtually empty. A likely source of the shuttle's destruction, given the speed and height of the Columbia, would have been some form of attack from an organisation or state possessing military capabilities well beyond any terrorist groups and indeed most nations. The likely cause would have been a clandestine government organisation that desired to send an important message to its US rivals over the threatened preemptive attack on Iraq.
Or your own government does it and goes, I want to go to war.
Or a piece of fucking tile fell off the shuttle on launch.
Right, you don't know, but you were reading that and I was going, what the fuck? I said that to the camera because what the fuck is this to do with anything?
By the way, I love, because we filmed these like 4 weeks in advance before they go out. I love that you've not seen you watching the week before they go out. I love that you've just done something, because there's a couple where I've just gone, with you not knowing.
Right.
So Columbia, if I remember Columbia correctly,
there's two Columbias, not the one that blew up in 1980.
That's Challenger.
Yeah.
Right, so Columbia is the shuttle that took off, successful launch, successful mission, came back to Earth.
Tried to land.
On re-entry, fucking exploded. Yeah. Right? And massive fucking, all souls lost, massive tragedy, massive investigation. And it turns out, I remember seeing the video where as it's taken off, a piece of ice falls off the booster, hits it and knocks one of the silica tiles off the black tiles on the bottom, which is the heat shield. As it came in, all those gases that come around it, those tiles protect it as it comes in. One tile's missing. Fucking straight in, inside, gone.
Done. Let's ignore
Done.
it. Right? Bullshit. Right. Oh, right.
But no. Columbia was it was taken out by a clandestine government organisation to go, we can do that.
How is that?
Do you want to go to Iraq?
How does he even class that circumstantial? Like, what? That's not close to circumstantial evidence. That is, a ship blew up, I am going to make a fucking quantum leap here to make this. That's not even close to circumstantial evidence.
No.
It's not even related in the slightest.
No.
Why are you laughing? My brain's burning.
That's what I looked at when this is bollocks. This is absolute bullshit. It's going to be fun to throw it at Craig. Don't keep it in.
I'm doing a good job
So,
of
he's
keeping my
saying-
emotions in check here.
He's saying, when you take into all these bits of that look like bollocks, but when you take into account the whistleblower accounts,
Okay.
with the dodgy, with the really extreme diplomatic language and call them old Europe,
Bullshit.
with the Germans just starting a dig in Iraq in the Sumerian temple,
We kind of debunked in the discussion.
and then Colombia gets blown up. Look at, not saying it's dodgy, but that's dodgy.
That fucking paper's dodgy. Fuck's sake, man. Did you make that up just to piss me off? Did you
No.
actually say that?
No. The link to his paper is in the comments, in the description, sorry, and that is his exact words. That is taken verbatim from his paper.
Right, can I ask you a question then? Right, okay. You made a big fucking song and dance at the beginning of this video about the academia and how fucking wonderful this man is. And he could pull this kind of bullshit. Is that right?
A lot of the stuff he does is brilliant. I love that bit. Sorry.
So you're saying to me, it's this doctor who's wrote all these papers and all these books and he should be revered and renowned. And then you said to me, yeah, what, the fucking Challenger?
That was just a bit. It's like Columbia, not Challenger. Two different tragedies.
Fucking both blow up! Columbia.
One
yeah.
went out there and he blew up on his way back.
What-
Challenger went about 5 seconds or something, I think.
Yeah,
God
sorry,
bless him.
but he said that. A doctor who was supposed to love and revere.
That is on his paper. That is the 4 second.
Why have I not found this? Why have I not got it in my...
There's a link. I'll send you the link tonight.
Does it come with a little joke at the end or something?
No.
So honestly, that's his...
Right. So what I'm gonna do. Right?
So is this honestly his four... This is his 4 evidences that this could be...
No. He's got a lot of evidence in his paper. These are his 4 circumstantial evidences.
Right, okay.
So it goes on to, he references stitching and he talked about Exopolotics and clandestine and disclosure and all that lot. But so, you can see there's his paper. It's fucking massive. Goes on loads, right? But just so you know, I'm not lying. Where are we? There you go. In his paper, the 4th piece of circumstantial evidence was the
Fuck off. Sorry, Michael.
It goes on to say, which I didn't include in my notes, but since I've got his paper up, when all the primary and circumstantial evidence is put together, what emerges is a very plausible case that supports Henry's thesis of a power struggle that goes to the art of the ET presence and the continued clandestine suppression of ET-related information and its full implications. The interpretations of the motivations of the Bush administration in launching preemptive war on Iraq in terms of the concerns raised in Bush's 2003 State of the Union address, or the corporate and imperial interests suggested by his critics, such as Robert Fisk and Michael Lind, can all be described as part of the surface layer of motivations driving the Bush administration. At a deeper level, it is likely that there is great anxiety by clandestine government organisations in terms of what would happen if Hussein, with the support of the German and other European governments, gained access to the Sumerian StarGate or other ET technology buried in Uruk, or if the StarGate were to somehow reactivate without clandestine government personnel present to monitor and control the StarGate. President Bush's State of the Union address outlined the need for a preemptive attack on Iraq, in most likelihood mask a hidden agenda to gain access to the StarGate or other ET technology in Uruk and elsewhere in Iraq. Such access would presumably perpetuate clandestine government control over global resources and information at a time of increased ET activity and influence.
Fuck off.
That 4th bit just didn't do anything. You're just ignoring everything you said before, I don't know, aren't you?
No, so my whole... I've not got the ability here to even... Right, okay. I'm just trying.
You came up with the idea for this channel, but I love fucking breaking you on a weekly basis.
So I'm gonna.
It's fun. It gives my cold dead heart joy.
My fucking logic is fucking burning here. So let's take out firstly that fourth fucking stupid statement. But let's just what we know. Let's look at the evidence of what we actually saw happen in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm pretty sure this was written as it was happening, as the war was going on.
Yeah.
At the end of the war, what we've seen actually happen is we've seen the deconstruction of infrastructure, finance, resources, welfare. Everything's gone in Iraq. It's completely.
Yeah.
It's been taken back decades, if not generations. It's been fucking set back to the Stone Age, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken all the natural resources, gold. They've got access to poppy fields in Afghanistan and everywhere else. The whole war, not just Iraq, but the whole war has given America the opportunity and the CIA the opportunity to fucking run drugs. And that what we've seen is the truth of the war is they've stolen all their gold. They've stolen all their. We know for a fact they've stolen the gold. We know they've stolen the wealth. We know they've done all of that. That's not a. Is it potentially a happy coincidence outside of what the truth was? Maybe. But when I look at the evidence of the war, I've never seen a single shred of evidence to suggest that by now, what I would have expected, honestly would have expected is, because we know that we both look at news and media that's not just westernised. It's world news we'll look at in different forms and different guises.
Yeah, I know like a lot of people say, I'll watch Russia Today, and people go, fuck, you should be watching that. No, I'll watch...
all propaganda machines.
I'll watch Sky News and see what they're saying about the coronavirus in Europe. Then I'll watch BBC News. Then I'll watch Russia Today.
Al Jazeera.
Then I'll watch Al Jazeera.
Yeah,
then I'll watch CNN. Then I'll watch Fox. And go, do you know what? Now I've got these 7 different takes on this one situation. I can piece together my own
an informed
opinion.
decision.
Yeah.
So what I would have wholeheartedly expected, 100% without fail, is the people of Iraq around that period, if they'd have gone in for this particular reason, for this StarGate, there would have been one more piece of evidence. Someone would have said something, someone would have videoed something, someone would have photoed something. An Iraqi would have gone to a news media source in Al Jazeera, even a fucking TMZ site or something, would have had some more news outside of a single paper by a guy who's made some fucking bigger leaps than fucking Armstrong did on the moon.
But I've just checked, right, so you can see it here. USA invaded on 20th of March 2003, right?
Yeah.
And he published that paper on February 3rd, 2003.
Okay.
So he published it just before the war.
But the Germans were still in there over a year before that.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying we were talking about when he came through the war or during it. He actually published it just a month before, like 4 weeks before.
But I'm sure he would have been writing it for weeks. You know?
Yeah, he'd been writing for
and he would have seen the political things going. This is about to happen. The wheels going on because it was being discussed in our parliament for months. You know, so
well, I think it took 3 acts of parliament to get approval to go to
so
war.
it wasn't. It was just reporting the news. We've discussed this before on other conspiracies. Symptoms specifically, they're reporting the news that you don't necessarily get to hear.
There's a bit he puts somewhere saying there's been some Iraqi that has said this is so his paper starts off saying we went to war on Iraq because Saddam's got a StarGate. Then about halfway through it changes to he hasn't got a StarGate but he knows where there is one. And he's got the Germans in digging it up.
Okay.
And then near the end it's well they've not found it yet but the Americans got in there to find it first.
I heard that the Annunaki buried it until they were ready to go back. And they think they found it to excavate.
So they're going that certain thing, so we went to war in Iraq because Saddam's got StarGate. No, he don't. And halfway through the paper, he knows where the StarGate is, so that's why they went to war with him.
In the cigarette?
Yeah, in the cigarette. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh, he's got the Germans in to dig it up. And that's why we went to war with him, so we could take over it and UK and US could dig it up instead. So it starts out being he's got a StarGate to being he knows where it is. So he's like, oh, Saddam's got a StarGate. No, I am. So you can see like America's like going, no, I am. And then like a couple months later, he knows where it is. Right, okay. You can't get it out there, can't get it up, it's fine, don't worry. Not to worry about. They've got a team of German archaeologists helping dig it up. Right, now we're going in. Now we're putting a stop to this. Now we're taking it.
Now the Germans are digging.
Yeah, now the Germans are digging, we're going.
But there are, I am sure, lots and lots of excavation sites around the world, maybe in ancient Egypt, where there's some very... I talked to you before about Edgar Casey in the Hall of Records, and he was suggesting that, the Hall of Humanity's records are in the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And also the Mayans, talking about that 2012 was going to be the new conscious leveling of the world, and which I actually think, now I'm thinking about it, when, and this is complete conjecture, this is just guesswork for me, but when they were the Mayans were talking about 2012 is the start of a new beginning, the start of a new consciousness.
Which got translated to mainstream media as 2012, the Mayans to predict the end of the world.
Do you know what started at a very similar time? Have a guess.
Collective evolution, or the...
Google AI.
Google AI started same year.
Yeah, it's around that period. So it's our consciousness is going to be shared because it's going to be fucking via Google. We're all going to be chips in our brains, and Google's going to go, well, you all. So potentially the Mayans are talking about you all get to this upper consciousness, and you can all be a hive, and you can therefore be whatever you want to be. But,
well, since you mentioned upper consciousness, he goes on in his paper, we're going back up in his paper now because we've kind of bounced around it today. So he talks about the return of the Annunaki.
Yeah.
That's why we went into it, StarGate. And there's 3 perspectives on what that return is.
Can I guess them?
Go on.
Well, I don't even know what perspectives are. So one's going to be political, one's going to be, let's hide the ETs. We can't disclose ETs. I imagine.
No, you kind of touched on. So, after a 12-year lull in excavations, a team of German researchers in 2002 resumed excavations in the buried city of Uruk. Using a magnetometer, which is able to detect the presence of man-made objects beneath the soil, and a powerful computer system in Germany, German geophysicists were able to map out the buried structures of the sprawling ancient capital of 5.5 kilometres squared. That was where Sumerian civilization began. Excuse me. An important event in the Sumerian description of the Annunaki was the Annunnaki's final departure from the planet during a series of cataclysmic events that accumulated in the period 1800 to 1700 BC. A wide number of sources describe the present era in terms of a prophesied return of the gods/Anunnaki. The notion of a prophesied return in the context of the Anunnaki presence varies in meaning according to 3 different perspectives. The first perspective is based simply on the idea that the gods or Anunnaki physically returning to resume a prominent role in influencing human affairs and overseeing the use of the resources of the planet. In such a scenario, the first wave of Anunnaki would arrive to create the favourable conditions for the anticipated return of the Anunnaki elite. This would involve the less Anunnaki first returning and activating the Sumerian StarGate that would be required for the return of their leaders. Okay. Presumably, this would be heralded as a sacred event that should be celebrated by all humanity.
I got the wrong end of the stick then, so you're going to have to then talk about Nirubu as the next one, as Nirubu as a planet.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the authors Clyde Prince and Lynn Pickett argue that there's been an identifiable chain of global events involving key religious and political actors preparing humanity for just such a return. This is kind of what we were saying earlier, where we're going, the CIA have just released all their documents, the US military released all their documents, the Pope has turned around and said, oh, just because if aliens existed, don't negate the Bible.
Yes.
That kind of plays into the first perspective.
Yeah.
Where he says at the end that the authors Clyde Prince and Lynn Pickett argue that there's been an identifiable chain of global events involving key religious and political actors preparing humanity for just such a return.
It also leads. Have you ever heard of Project Bluebeam?
Yeah, I often get Bluebeam and Blue Book mixed up.
Project Bluebeam being that there's 3 phases of that as well, but one of the phases of Project Bluebeam is that there's going to be cataclysms on the Earth that open up special places on the Earth which will show the history of where we've come from and then we have to go to war with aliens, and then we'll go to war with aliens and there'll be a light show of aliens, but it's just aliens don't exist. It's just a way to control the Earth. But one of the things is you'll have all these wonderful. This is where we've come from. This is how we were created. Creation stories all created and shown on Earth in the same way that first one was trying to show there.
The second one you got bang on when you went, oh, looking at it the wrong way. The second perspective is the return of the Annunaki, is the return of their homeworld, the planet Nibiru. Indeed, there has been much interest generated by a range of books and online websites devoted to the topic of the return of Nibiru, the homeworld of the Annunaki. Many authors cite a variety of astronomical evidence supporting the idea of a 10th planet that has long been speculated to influence the orbits of Uranus and Jupiter and Neptune, ever since it was found that Pluto, discovered in 1930, could not account for these precipitations. In the late 1970s, two astronomers from the US Naval Observatory, Tom von Flandern and Richard Harrington, began publishing a series of papers supporting the existence of a 10th planet.
Can I ask a question there before we go to the next point? I'm pretty sure that Sitchin said it called it the 12th planet because he included the moon and the sun as planets, planetary bodies. Which means if they're willing to include a moon and they're willing to include the sun, it shows that they didn't know anything about astronomy because Jupiter got 16 of them or whatever. So really, it should be planet 804.
Yeah, I mean the Earth have 9 moons.
Well, we've got a second moon as far as I'm aware. It's so very, very small.
Pretty sure I saw an episode on QI. It said we have 9 moons.
It's tiny pieces of debris, effectively the orbits.
Bigger than debris, but not.
It's like basketball size and stuff like that.
But the most widely cited reference to support the thesis of a 10th planet that is known but not released to the general public is a series of press releases by the astronomical team that was searching a part of the sky which calculations by Van Fleurden and Harrington suggested would be where the 10th planet was. In December 1983, the chief astronomer in charge of the infrared astronomical satellite run by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Dr. Gary Neugebauer, announced possible confirmation of such a planet. The Washington Post reporter summarised the announcement wrote, "A heavenly body, possibly as large as Jupiter and possibly part of the solar system, has been found in the direction of the constellation of Orion and by an orbiting telescope. After a total of 6 major newspapers covered the announcement, there was a retraction of the announcement and public silence by astronomers on the possible existence of a 10th planet. Rumours began to emerge of an active campaign of suppression of information intimidation by clandestine government organisations. For example, one of the astronomers at the US Naval Observatory, Dr. Richard Harrington, spoke publicly and wrote articles on the hypothetical Planet X, and there has been speculation that this directly contributed to his untimely death by natural causes in 1992.
Natural causes of bodies?
By natural causes.
Yeah. I've got no issue with the people being silenced, because I think it happens. I have an issue with it, trust me.
No issue with it, deserves it. No, I have issue with it. I believe people are silenced.
Yes.
I strongly believe people are getting Clintoned.
Yes. We're going to call it from now on. Get fucking Clintoned.
He committed suicide. Natural causes. No, you got fucking Clinton.
Yeah, high fell on a train track. As was some of them. Some people shoot themselves more than once.
3 times hit back at head.
Fucking hell, I missed with the first one. I've got half an head left. I get that people will be silenced, and that happens. And I get it. And you can link that to possibly natural causes. I don't think about natural causes, but potentially it could have been. But the whole idea of, I don't know, the Annunaki.
I think that gives this a bit of weight, or not maybe a bit of weight, but a bit of consideration. What this was announced by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in 1983 in a press release.
Yeah, but
and then suddenly got retracted and covered up and.
But potentially this could be, you know, that they've had a finding. They
announced it too early.
Have a premature ejaculation.
Yeah. And
gone, oh shit, I need to don't show anybody else, I need to clean this up. Because people do though, they'll go, well, I found this, and someone else goes, oh no.
Shit, found a planet, I get to name a planet, tell everybody so I get to name a planet. And they're like, actually this data is you've interpreted that wrong.
It's a bit wrong.
Don't take that back, I'm not an idiot.
I don't know for a certain if whatever they produced Pia studied first. They went through all the scientific hurdles and went, this is a scientific paper. Or someone's gone, we found found something. And someone's gone, what's he found? It's like, well, I found this fucking magical thing. And it's like, oh shit. And I don't want to look like a dickhead. I'm just going to not talk about it anymore.
To me, the fact that Richard Harrington discovered it, Dr. Richard Harrington discovered it, Dr. Jerry Neugebauer announced it, retracted the announcement, and Richard Harrington went on to publicly speak and write articles about it, like, no, I was fucking right, this exists. And then allegedly got Clintoned.
I don't have a problem with there being planetary bodies in our solar system that we've not yet found.
Mm-hmm.
Of course that can happen. We found just last week, if I remember rightly, something about 50 kilometres wide going to be skittling past Earth.
Yes.
We can't see everything in the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the way it is. However, something the reported size of Nibiru on an elliptical course. So unless it's directly opposite us behind the sun, at some point that big, coming round the sun on an elliptical course, it becomes visible. It has to become visible.
Yeah, I mean, we've noticed the gravitational changes between Neptune and Pluto that Neptune and Pluto can't explain.
Yes, correct.
We recorded them. So there's something there that we recorded that causes the gravitational changes.
But it's not the size of Jupiter, because we'd see it.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Good.
So is there anything else you want to put in to this theory before we go to closing?
I could probably talk all night, but yeah, let's not. Let's just go to...
I could talk a lot more, but yeah. So I'm going to go...
You
do
go
want to close first? Me first? Alright then. So, does Saddam Hussein have a StarGate? Does that believe?
Do you want to give some context behind...
Well, that's the question.
Oh, okay.
Saddam Hussein, does Saddam Hussein have a StarGate? That's what I'm going to answer. My thoughts on this is that we mentioned the Mayan 2012 prophecy and that, and it never happened. Or did it? Depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, oh, it's the end of the world. That didn't happen. We've just spent about 20 minutes talking about
Probably
the
more.
new age and evolution of consciousness and stuff. So, the circumstantial evidence that he puts forward creates a compelling narrative.
What compelling narrative?
But it's bollocks.
What? There's nothing compelling about the narrative. Well, sorry, it's your ending argument. Sorry, but...
No, if you're... I don't want to say gullible, but if you're easily swayed, then that circumstantial evidence can create a compelling narrative. I can see how it can pick up steam with that.
The only thing compelling, in my opinion, is... Not compelling, but the only thing of that narrative can agree is the whistleblowers.
Yeah.
People talk.
Yeah, but if you're already inclined and you're wanting to believe,
Yeah.
and there's whistleblowers, then there's diplomatic relations, then there's the archaeological dig, and then there's Colombia, and like, oh, that all fucking makes sense, you're just not seeing it, you know, yeah, I can see how that goes. One thing, I suggested this for tonight's topic.
It turned into theological.
Because I thought it'd be fucking funny. I tried to be a bit of a dick and thought, let's see Craig argue logic with a completely batshit fucking theory.
I fucking tried, okay?
Right?
I tried.
During my research on this, I was fucking surprised how deep this theory went.
But it's only based around two people, really.
Yeah, but then you go off into theology and religion and consciousness and human collective and technology but where the fuck we've gone all around the houses tonight.
It's been fun.
I didn't expect this to be as deep as it fucking was.
I thought an hour in we'd be saying fuck off, but you know.
And the thing that, like I said, I only brought this theory up and suggested for tonight because I thought it'd be fucking hilarious to do something crazy. But when you sit back and look at it, this involves all the ingredients of a classic conspiracy theory.
It does now, yeah.
They've got aliens, forgotten history, government cover-ups. You've got all the fucking
technology,
points.
Mayan calendar, everything.
Whistleblowers, Mayan calendars. We've got Nirubu. We've got how many else have been on? This is like And I'm close to calling this the perfect conspiracy theory. Because it has every ingredient you need all tied up nice and neat in a nice singular theory. And it's like, this week we've got we've got the hippies and the History Channel. We've got something for all of them in this one. We've got the hippies talking about higher consciousness. We've got the History Channel talking ancient aliens. Come on board, lads. We've got something all for you here. You know,
perfect writing to sell.
Perfect right to sell a book. I know. Right.
Is it my mouth? Isn't my fucking conclusion?
We went to war on Iraq over weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
Which has been proven to be false.
Completely false.
Completely wrong. One thing, this is the thing, I spent like 8 hours one day trying to research this. And this is the thing that really surprised me, is that, do you know what the official reason for going to war in Iraq was?
Tony Blair's a bellend.
The weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, no, like, yeah.
No, but even though it's been proved false, there's been no other evidence given since.
Yeah, I know.
They just went, no.
They got weapons of mass destruction. Well,
no, they haven't. Oh, well, whatever.
I'm sure Bush went, you can't always be right. Something like that.
No, there's been no comment. I can't find any comment on it anywhere. I've just gone, well, we did it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right. So, you've got Dr. Sallah going, this is why I went to war, and if you look in a certain light, there's a reason for going to war. And you got the official narrative going, this is why I went to war, and went, yeah, but that's fake. Oh, we got nothing.
Apart from oil and gold.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we got no. It's like, no, but we've proved your official theory wrong. Do you want to give us, oh yeah, we just told you that because this is what we're actually doing, or this is how no, we don't want to, we're good, thanks.
They said,
we don't give a shit.
Ultimately, they simply said, those sexed up dossiers, those let me fist your arsehole dossiers, were basically, it was just bad information. Bad intelligence.
Oh, we got it wrong.
Bad intelligence. We just displaced 6 million Iraqis who then ultimately turned into...
destroyed an economy, an education system, and a society, and a culture.
Fucked the Middle East, and then we've got ISIS, and we've got all these wars. It's like, oh, right, really? Yeah, but just bad intelligence, mate.
Yeah, we lied. Sorry about that.
Okay. So that is definitely another video. But
so if the weapons of mass destruction were not real, we know they're not. So it's generally the public opinion is that we went to war for control of the oil fields.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems a bit too simplistic, especially when you see that Russia's getting oil supplied from southern Iraq, and it's like, well, if America took over Iraq, why is Russia getting oil from there? And
well, it's a Middle East power play.
Yeah, but we took over that country, and then we destroyed them, and then we moved out, and we don't have control of the oil. So what did we go in there for? It wasn't weapons of mass destruction, and it wasn't oil, because we don't have control of it now, because the Iraqi government did. So what did we go in for it for?
So this is a massive video, but I can try and briefly explain very, very quickly. So the PNAC, which you can look on Google, you can look at the PNAC, which is the American thing into the 21st century, whatever it's, I can't remember what it's called anymore. And then you've got this general going, I had a meeting saying there's 7 countries who are going to be overturned in the next 7 to 10 years, inclusive of Iraq and Libya and that sort of thing. And the whole purpose is to cause a Middle Eastern war. The Middle East will be completely displaced, be able to get hold of lithium minefields, gold.
I think while everyone's looking at the oil, no one's looking at the lithium.
So you get your lithium, you get
cobalt as well.
Yeah, you get your lithium, you get your gold, you get your oil. You take control of the Middle East. You have a Middle Eastern war, and then once that war's occurred, you can have your West versus East war, which then means that you can engulf the East. And it's all part of a plan. It's all part of a plan. It's planned out for decades before. So yes, Didn't go for weapons of mass destruction, but it's all part of the plan. And
I don't think went for oil either.
No, Saddam Hussein was a puppet. He was put in place by the West and removed by the West. Remember, the single fact is that before Saddam Hussein got murdered, because that's what he was effectively, by his own people, he decided just before that we're going to stop using the petrodollar and go to the euro.
No. You get mixed up with Libya, which is going to be my next point.
But Iraq did the same.
Iraq wasn't moving with petrodollar.
Iraq stopped the dollar.
He stopped the dollar, but was still involved in the petrodollar.
So he said we're not dealing in dollar anymore.
Yeah, they're still using the petrodollar market.
Yeah, but not.
But the one dealing in American dollars. Yeah. It's two different markets.
But it could still effectively take about 30% out of the American economy.
One thing I was going to bring up was...
Loads of different reasons.
I was going to bring up the petrodollar because Iraq had... I haven't been brought up in Saddam Hussein is this horrible dictator who kills his own people and eats babies and all this shit, right?
Thank you, CNN.
Yeah, cheers for that. But the more I looked into it, and I'm not saying he was a good guy, I'm not taking away anything all the evils he did, but Iraq had free healthcare, Iraq had free education, had free universities. Don't have them anymore.
Don't have anything anymore.
So the Iraqi people really better off with us removing him. And the reason I'm going down that line of thinking is that when we removed Colonel Gaddafi from Libya, that was apparently that was partly because he was going to move away from the petrodollar. But again, same semantics. Libya had free healthcare, free education, free universities. Doesn't anymore.
What did they not have?
Pardon?
What did they not have? A Rothschild bank.
They did not have a central bank. Yeah. I'm going to ask. Just got today's episode.
I could go down so many rabbit. This is the problem. You can rabbit hole me now. Iraq for 10 more hours.
Iraq had free healthcare, free education, free universities, and a StarGate, and it got attacked by the US and the UK.
Okay.
Libya had free healthcare, free education, free universities. Does this mean Libya had a StarGate as well?
Don't ask me that. Can you just fucking close?
That's my clause.
You've not said what side of the fence you sit on. No splinters up your rusty arsehole. Tell me what you're fucking...
I'm genuinely on the fence right now.
Really?
This...
I am shocked. I can't even believe
do I believe a clandestine government organisation is covering up extraterrestrial communications?
That's not the question.
Yes. Do I believe governments go to war for reasons that they don't make public? Yes. Do I believe in Nirubu? The gravitational anomalies between Neptune and Pluto say yes. Doesn't say it's a planet or a ship or anything, but there's something there. Do I believe in, let's call it ancient alien theory, with the Sumerian cuneiform tablets and stuff? There's something to it, and I can investigate more, so right now I'd say yes.
Okay.
Do I believe Saddam was trying to dig up these artifacts and find a StarGate? Gonna lean on the side of yes. But the question is, did Saddam Hussein have a StarGate? That does not believe he did. I think he was digging for one, but I don't think he had one.
Okay. This closing argument is fucking messy. It's messy. So
I'm done. I have to go all those questions just to lay my position out exactly.
So I'm going to try follow the same route, so we follow something simple. So, does Nirubu exist? The 10th planet. As I said to you before, in my opinion, if the planet was a planet, it's not a spaceship. The planet was a planet. We've got absolutely
Sorry.
we have got absolutely no geological evidence whatsoever of something that would fucking ruin our gravitational pull every 3,600 years passing our planet.
And our scientific evidence would say that civilization wouldn't survive. Like I
Yeah.
pointed out earlier, 2,500 years in darkness, you'd be dead.
So,
Sorry,
irrespective of this gravitational issue that we're currently seeing in the solar system, which could have many more different reasons,
Could be a planet, could be a ship, could be a moon we've not discovered yet.
or alternatively, physics that we don't yet understand.
Yeah. Yeah,
We're
there's
not
a
finished
million
yet.
different explanations. Yeah.
So, it's a fucking big leap to say there's a big fucking planet that we can't yet see or detect.
Sorry, I'm going to jump a job place step, and I'm not sure, but I would say with the gravitational origin, there's something we can prove that something exists. Science is telling us something's there.
Yeah.
We don't have the science yet to explain what it is.
But that's
That's it.
could be a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
We're not quite there yet in our scientific
Yeah,
understanding.
we can see it, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
We can see signs of it, we just can't explain what it is. That's it.
So,
Doesn't say it's a ship, doesn't say it's a planet, doesn't say it's a moon.
I'm talking about what these guys are saying,
Mhm.
being a planet, Planet X, Planet 10, whatever you want to call it. Again, we've got no geological evidence, we've got no... I would have expected, 3,600 years ago, so we're talking 1,600 BC, the Egyptians would have fucking put something about it because they were around, that people would have talked about it outside of other existing civilizations would have said, oh, we've seen this fucking shit as well.
Yeah, so it's alright going, well, the Egyptians were around, well, they wouldn't say, because they were getting information off the Annunaki and they were told to keep quiet. What are the fucking nomads in Russia, or the fucking pyramid builders in Croatia, or the Mayans, or the
What's that?
Incas? You know?
Let's not talk about it. We're not talking about it. So the fact we don't have any geological evidence of it, we don't have any other civilizations talking about it, the fact it's supposed to be coming around every 3,600 years, you know, none of them, no other civilizations talk about it. So for me, Nibiru being a big fucking chunk of this story, for me personally, Nibiru as a planet, as a description, I'm saying no.
Sorry, I'm going to put you closer, but no, sorry. Like I said, I made the point before that a StarGate could go anywhere. I think he's using Nibiru just because it's a popular ufologist
That's fine.
point.
I'm going through all of them.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be Nibiru. I think it could be fucking Andromeda Galaxy, it could be Sirius, it could be wherever, you know.
But that's
but what you're saying on Nibiru, yeah.
both of them, Sallah and William, both said Planet X and Nibiru. Specifically stated that, so I just want to say no.
No,
I mean,
Nibiru doesn't exist for me. There's something out there, whether that's a ship in deep stasis that's causing the fluctuation, that's Nibiru. That's a possibility for me.
okay, but we ain't got no idea.
But
So,
yeah, it's not a planet. No.
so Nibiru for me, no. The Annunaki, and we're talking, and we're going to go now about Sumerians. So, I'm not necessarily against this. I would say either people say what they saw, it's that catchphrase, say what you see.
Say what you see.
Exactly.
Where's fucking Roy Walker
Where's
when
Les
you need
Dennis?
him?
Yeah.
Right, there's Dennis Roy Walker, you dickhead.
It's not Family
The
Fortunes.
OG catchphase guy.
The,
But Les Dennis never did catchphrase, did he?
No, they did
Family Fortunes.
Family Fortunes,
Yeah.
The original groupie. So, ancient Sumerians, that I wasn't there clearly. Did the Sumerians say what they saw, or were they interpreting? For me, it doesn't matter. If the Annunaki exist and they've got spaceships and rockets and stuff flying off, this, that, and the other, it has no bearing because Sitchin never once mentioned the Sumerians mentioned the StarGate, not once. So
You mentioned rockets up and down.
So
Yeah.
For me, I can happily say the Sumerians can sit there on their own, the Annunaki can sit there on their own because they didn't mention a Stargate once, and that can sit there and go, I don't care if I believe that or not.
That's ancient alien theory now.
And that doesn't matter if I believe it or
That's
not.
a different episode.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
park you because whether you believe it or
We'll
not,
come back to that down the line. Yeah.
the cuneiform never said it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a leak from two different people. So park them and say I could or couldn't believe in them. It doesn't matter.
No.
Now I'm going to go on. Did America go to war with Saddam Hussein over
Alien
Stargate?
tech.
Yeah. in my personal opinion, based upon the politics of the time, what we're trying to get, looking at history, America went to war in 1991 firstly with Iraq. They couldn't even get through the front door. Based on the fact that Iraq gassed the Kurds. George Bush Jr. has come out and said, they tried to kill my dad, and effectively that's the reason why he went to war. He wanted to get them back. They got through the door, they stole all the gold, they stole the oil, they stole the lithium, they got everything they wanted. If Saddam Hussein had a StarGate, you would not have found him curled up in a ball in the bottom of a house.
I've got a different argument to that. Like, we saw Saddam Hussein get curled out of a ball. He was curled up in a ball in the middle of an house. Well, under the fucking floorboards of the house.
Some of that money and gold.
And conveniently, the video of him getting hanged turned up on YouTube and all over social media and shit.
And it was him.
Well, I'm going to say it's well documented. Saddam had a lot of doubles.
Okay, could have been a double.
Is it a case of they went in to get the alien tech and he went, alright, do you know what, you fucked me over, but let's make a deal. I've been talking to these guys, they've only talked to me. You want to take this and kill me, then you fucking lost it. They won't come back. But if you keep me alive, they'll talk to you and we can sort something out. And go, well, we need to fucking kill someone on screen. So, alright, I've got Dave, my double. Dave, off you go, get hanged. You know, and Saddam's still out there living, and Saddam's now on Nirubu.
So, if we're saying that, had Saddam Hussein had a StarGate, I would have.
Let's say he had alien tech.
I would have expected his alien tech to be far greater than that of terrestrial tech.
But what if he had alien tech, but he couldn't figure out how to use it? So they're saying he had a StarGate. So the series he had a StarGate, but he couldn't switch it on.
Okay.
So the idea, Dr. Sallah's whole paper is America went in before he could turn it on.
Okay. I said to you earlier in the programme today, I would have expected by now, 30 years after the fact, pretty much from 1991, 29 years.
Yeah.
Or 2003 would say 20 years, pretty much. I would have expected an Iraqi photo from somebody, a leak, a photo, something of any kind, a thread of truth, a thread of evidence of anything, and there isn't a single picture, artifact, nothing from anyone of any kind. You can't find it because it doesn't exist.
There's a great piece in Dr. Sallah's paper that he sums up. I can't find it, I can't be asked.
We've already pissed all over his fucking ideas.
Where he says, anyone that could argue the official point is already dead. And the victors, i.e. Blair and Bush, aren't going to talk.
That's true, but at the same time...
So you're going, anyone that have got these pictures and have got these stuff, no, they're dead.
Are you telling me that there's nobody in the last 20 years has been around a cigarette? Nobody?
Oh no, I can't, this is the bit that gets me, right, this bit sounds very funny, right? I can't conceive the idea of an Iraqi whistleblower.
Why not?
I don't see it happening with the way their communities and where they're going. An American whistleblower?
Can I?
Yeah, I can.
I don't believe it, and I'll tell you why. Because I've seen Iraqis upload videos from Iraq of them being fucking bombed, people being tortured, people being shot, people being fucking maimed in the street.
Yes, but we're talking about people on the street in Iraq.
Yes.
Not high up military clearance that have access to the StarGate Iraq.
Well,
right? So, what I'm saying is, the point I want to make is, look at, if America got these programs, then Britain, Germany, France, Russia, Iraq, Iran, India have all got these China have all got these clandestine programs as well. Yeah. Right? It's fair to say, if one of us has got them, we've all got them. Right?
Potentially, yeah.
How many conspiracy theory whistleblowers have you seen in the last 20 years that haven't been American?
Well,
it's always American generals that break ranks, it's always American sergeants that break ranks. It's never Russian or Chinese or Iraqi.
It's because you need to get through that media first to get to the Western media to report it because there's no direct link. But
yeah, but it's the American, all these ufology sites, these conspiracy sites that report whistleblowers. It's never, they're not reporting an Indian general or a Japanese sergeant. It's always an American military man. Americans are the worst for keeping secrets.
Well, maybe so, but what I would say is even if even if it was a fake Saddam that got killed, as an example, even if they're digging cigarette to try and think they found something, there's zero evidence of any kind. No, I would have expected Russians to have their satellites going. We found something. Rest of the world, look what the fucking Americans are doing. Someone, it's too easy to spy on everyone now. Google Earth can fucking spy on anyone they want, but it's too easy. Basically, it would have been exposed by now as a more mainstream conspiracy because too many people would need to be there around it constantly every single day for one person to go, quickly, look at this shit, and something would even. I can't even see any fake videos. That's how fucking shit this is. No one's even tried to fake it, for God's sake. So, for me, the fact that I've got a belief in why we really went to war with Iraq. There's no even fake videos, no fake photos. No one's ever come out, not a single person outside of Michael Sallah and William Henry have come out and said this is why it's happened. Nothing whatsoever at all.
I would put William Henry in that category. Michael Sallah's come out and he's used Henry's and Sitchin's research as the basis for his claims. Sallah's the one that's claiming this, not Henry.
Well, Henry talked about Planet X, and then we've got William Henry talked about he interpreted in King Solomon's mind a vortex, a wormhole.
No, what I'm saying is Henry has his interpretation of his studies.
Yeah.
Sitchin has his interpretation of his studies. Sallah's come along and I'm going to take both of them and put them into my theory.
Fair play. So,
I wouldn't say Henry with Sitchin's brush. We could do Henry in a different episode. This is Sallah's episode right now, I think.
So, put it simply, as we said before, the Annunaki and did they exist, etc., with Sumerians. I can leave that aside because the Sumerians never said anything about anything once about this StarGate. No, not even mentioned it once. Leave that aside. I don't believe for one second we went to war for any other reason. There might be some secret reasons, but I know the reasons what we got when we got there. We got rid of the puppet Hussein. We got rid of who we'd put in power. We got all this gold, all this lithium, all the access to the Middle East, destabilise the Middle East based upon the PNAC and what the general said. And for me, does I believe? Not a chance. No way. There's not a single shred of evidence outside of Michael Sallah's conjecture. And we've already talked about, he put together these 4 potential. I'm like, fuck off, man. Like, you and me fucking walk out the room.
He uses Sitchin and Henry as solid evidence, and then puts these 4 circumstantial evidence on top.
Henry's not even solid evidence.
His first one I'll give him. His first circumstantial evidence.
Whistleblowers, yeah.
The 4th one, I really want to.
You're a dick.
The 4th one.
An absolute dick. That's worse than fucking Prince Philip and a cricket bat.
I just love how this was supposed to be a silly, fun, stupid episode.
But it is.
And we've gone all around the fucking houses and touched on about 8 future episodes in this one. Like, I don't know if we can do that. When we go, does Nirubu exist on episode 15? And people go, no, you said it didn't on episode 8.
No, we definitely can't talk about Nirubu now. But I think, man, we've talked about it a lot, but there's just, in my opinion, I don't even have a single strand to work on now. Not a single strand.
No, I mean, for me, there's tangents. There's future episodes of, we can't do Nibiru because we've both just shit.
That's next week's episode.
But ancient aliens, clandestine operations, reverse engineering. A government's in touch with extraterrestrials. We've got all those episodes that we're going to come on to, but we've kind of touch on them today, but we can.
Yeah, high level.
They're full episodes we can go into. I didn't realise when I suggested this just to be a dick. I didn't realise.
It's because Badger is a dick.
How deep it was. Lord Badger, please.
Lord Badger takes a dick.
I'm going to call him your dick, he's the correct honorific.
Lord Dick Badger.
Lord Badger the dick first. It's High Lord Dickhead. But no.
Many people might be calling me a dick, you know.
But I honestly thought like this would be silly and fun, and I didn't realise how many other conspiracies it touched on, and that's what makes it false for me.
Too many, man. There's
Right?
loads.
It's just like it's too. I think I said earlier, it's too perfect. It's got every ingredient you need for a good conspiracy theory. You've got aliens, you've got clandestine government cover-ups, you've got ancient aliens, you've got history, you've got diplomatic tensions, whistleblowers. Like, it's the perfect conspiracy theory. Like, it's almost like it were. If this was put into a Hollywood movie, I'd go, that's bollocks and don't make sense. Like, this is too made up.
Yeah.
And it's too perfect. Like, a good theory, and everything we've had before today has been, this is a theory, this is what it's about. And I know we've got on tangents and stuff, but we've never had a subject where we've gone and covered 12 different conspiracy theories while talking about the one we're on.
Not yet. In the pub we have, but not
yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, to me, this is just wonderful piece of.
It's clever stringing together all these to create a narrative and to create yourself some book sales. Congratulations, it's very smart, but it's absolutely fuck all to it.
I honestly, that paper, that again it's linked in the description, is a wonderful piece of fucking bait. He's just cast his bait out, and he's just reeling in the speaker tours and the book sales ever since.
Like Badger just to me on a fucking weekly basis.
You keep falling for it every fucking time.
It's because you know what's going to piss me off.
If you, please do me a favour, if you see Craig in the street at any point in the future, just ask him what happened to the shuttle Columbus. Just like fourth controversial evidence. How can you deny the fourth controversial evidence of the shuttle Columbus? I'd love it if people just started approaching the street.
On next week's episode, it's just me. It's this dick. He's fucking dead. I'm gonna club him without a new fucking glass.
The one's supposed to tell him we have glasses.
Them glass? No.
Cut
the video.
No, right, you fucked it now, right? So we spent the last couple of weeks, like last 2 episodes, we've had ALEuminati mugs that we were going to announce as merch, but we weren't going to announce it until somebody spotted them. Until Craig just got really pissed off. Columbia blowing up.
I've been drinking hard. Sponsored by Badger.
No, we are not sponsored by anyone. I am, however, going to fill up my nice, shiny ALEuminati mug that you can purchase online. I don't know where from yet. We'll figure that out by the time this video goes out.
That was via Bartman.
But yeah, that's been tonight's episode. That's been a fun rabbit hole.
Do you know what the problem with this is? I've had a really fucking stressful week this week at work. And I've had to talk about this shit. My brain now feels like I've been put through a cheese grater. Do you know what? I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But I've never come across a bigger load of bollocks for my 3.5 hours of conversation on camera than I have today. All the other conspiracies have gone, do you know what? These threads of truth, possibly. All this is going is, let's reel in as many fucking conspiracies as we could possibly find around America, around aliens, around fucking ancient civilizations, and gone, throw them all in one bucket and go, see your bites. These dickheads have to look at it. And now, if you speak to me once more about this shuttle, I'm going to lose my watch, fisting your arsehole. I've had enough.
The thing is, did I suggested it just because I thought it was fucking funny. I don't think I'm going to access the next 2 weeks' episodes now.
The next one's going to be mine. More sensible than... This might be entertaining for people to see me break down.
I had no idea how deep this went. Two things I'll say in defence of this theory.
Okay.
That,
how can you defend it?
I really enjoyed researching it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's not defence.
And I really fucking enjoyed filming this tonight.
And that's not a defence either. That's not a defence.
So I will thank this theory on 2 points. Even though that does not believe. I'm glad this theory exists for those 2 points.
I would rather run through the streets naked with my fucking "that does my believe Illuminati" glass stuck up my arsehole and talk about this anymore.
But I got to sit here with a full Illuminati, does I believe Illuminati glass. I'm talking to you this theory for 4 hours. So,
well, and that, and my
on that note,
just I believe neither of us do. I genuinely hope you really enjoyed the episode. To be fair, this is probably the most fun we've had in an episode.
I've enjoyed filming this more than he has.
I know I've enjoyed it, but what I don't like is having the logical part of my brain tick up my bunch of dick. Going, I'm gonna fuck Craig. Take this, Craig.
I have just essentially, this is 3 hours of me skull fucking you tonight,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes. At least an hour. At least an hour of me being skull fucked by Badger. Now, if that turns you on, take that home with you.
I'm gonna cut that out and put it on Pornhub.
We're not allowed anymore. I'm a child.
But anyway, as always, we hope you enjoyed this as much as we do. I'm trying to close off. I'm sorry, this is going on. I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to close off.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. So I'm trying to finish. It's just so nice. Skull fucking Craig. Feels velvety and soft.
For those that know,
Colombia.
I've given him the fist like I promised, you know.
As always, please like, share and subscribe because that's the usual box after show. But please, we beg of you, go tell 2 more people that we exist.
Not fucking 2. Go onto your Facebook and go, how many friends have I got? And fucking invite all of them twats.
You can find the ALEuminati on Facebook. The link is in the description. Click on it. Invite all your friends to it. Fuck it, yeah. I want you to tell 2 people so we can start a discussion. And they can talk to just fucking invite all your friends. Invite all your friends. If Illuminati is not at 1,000 followers on Facebook by goes on Friday, by Wednesday, I'm coming after all of you.
Nobody wants that. My brain hurts from being skull fucked. You don't want that.
Skull fuck the lot of yous.
And on that note, I'm going to go fall asleep and piss my pants because I've lost all my automated services.
Till next time, see you,
bastards.